Who is Long Batian? Who is Long Batian? The number one powerhouse. He was unstoppable, dominating the ancient world. Where was the body? Who would dare to say no? Even if it was a normal foreign powerhouse, they would still have to continue bearing with their tails between their legs and endure patiently. So, who could underestimate his strength? Especially at this moment, under his rage, how could Long Batian not have immense power when he wholeheartedly wanted to destroy his opponent on the premise that he could? When the light of day dispersed, any hint of the Purple Emperor's chi or the power of a heavenly emperor was instantly submerged. In its place was a sense of endless desolation. Buried world. One man, one force. This was Long Batian's power. In comparison, even though the strength of the pubes was incomparably tyrannical, it was not worth mentioning in front of this kind of strength. There was no way to compare at all. Even Long Fei was shocked beyond belief. This was too crazy. Even though he was only the executor of this power, he still felt Ling Juetian's arrogance. Is this Long Batian's power? This is true power, the supreme power of heaven and earth. Long Fei punched out. As he secretly sensed the power that could destroy the heavens and earth, he was shocked in his heart. A bright light appeared in his eyes. He didn't know why Long Batian had such a deep hatred for the heavenly emperor. However, he knew that with this kind of power, even the celestial emperor would have to die. In the distance, the expression of the celestial emperor drastically changed. Mysterious light burst forth from his body and endless rays of light burst out at this moment. They broke through the horizon and lit up the void. However, in the face of Long Batian's power, he still appeared to be extremely immature. This light beam could not break Long Batian's power at all. At the same time, Long Fei's figure had already appeared above the skies. After the limitless energy of the plane condensed and broke through, it carried Long Batian's will of annihilation and exploded outwards. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Space itself began to be annihilated, and the entire unknown region of the primal chaos began to be shaken. It was like the end of days. It was like exterminating the world. Just like the name of this power, it was the burial ground. He wanted to destroy everything, to wipe everything out into nothingness. No. How is this possible? What sort of power is this? It can actually surpass the power of the ancient era. This is impossible. In this world, only power is real. The power of the heavens is the true ruler, and that is the way of kings. Cheech, email protected, at the celestial emperor roared, his hair in disarray. He no longer had the reverence from before. Under Long Fei's punch, he was already too exhausted to be on guard, so he had already used all the skills in his body. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. A supreme aura burst forth from the Sky Empire, capable of suppressing all living beings and looking down upon the world. And then, a territory that spanned hundreds of thousands of li appeared in this world. Ha ha ha, Long Fei, just you wait to die. Who cares what bullshit you are, Long Batian? So what if Long Batian is strong? My heavenly emperor seal carries the power of eternity, and is passed down from the ancient world to suppress this unknown land. Let alone you, even if Long Batian was reborn, you still have to beat him back to his original form. The heavenly emperor laughed madly, his eyes filled with malevolence. With a clench of his hands, he controlled the emperor's seal. Suppress Long Batian. In the air, Long Fei laughed coldly. If he did not have to bear this power, Long Fei would never doubt the words of the celestial emperor. This giant seal seemed to be connected to the primal chaos in this place. It could suppress everything in the world. But now, he had used this punch. Long Fei finally understood what the number one powerhouse of the ancient times meant. What heavens, what suppression. They were all empty. Any entity that stands in my way will only have one word: destroy. Annihilation is the only theme. Slay used the eternal melody. His power, simple and berserk, was to destroy everything. So what if it was the heavenly emperor seal? Even if it was the first generation heavenly emperor, he was still only in existence after Long Batian. How could his strength compare to Long Batian? If that was the case, how could Long Batian bear the title of the number one powerhouse in the ancient times? Therefore, Even if the heaven and earth seal descended, Long Fei was not afraid. His gaze was still locked onto the celestial emperor. At this moment, in the distant space, those who had followed the celestial emperor had stopped. They didn't dare to approach this sort of battle. What a violent power! However, since the heavenly emperor seal has been revealed, that child is definitely going to die. That's to be expected. There are only a few people that can be honored with their title. Heaven Emperor is the supreme existence. A bunch of little ants, who knows where they got a bit of the inheritance from, dared to ignore the hearing of the heavens. Later on, they will know how it feels to be suppressed. Ha ha ha, I can already see him being crushed by the heavenly emperor seal, turning into a lump of meat paste. These happy people were all from the heavenly empire. They had followed the heavenly emperor here, and for so many years, they had always believed that the heavenly emperor was invincible. However, two of them were frowning deeply. One of them was Qin Xian from the Qin family. One person was the Li family's Li Wuyu. Li Wuji's eyes were focused on Li Wuxin, who was tens of thousands of miles away. Trash, why is there such a weak person in my Li family? And you're actually hanging out with someone who defies the will of the country? When the heavenly emperor finishes off your master, I will personally come to clean up the sect. Li Wuji coldly said. Regarding Long Fei, she had never cared about him. In his eyes, the celestial emperor was invincible. As for Qin Xian's sense, his eyes shone with a blazing light. He glared at Long Fei. Rather than Long Fei dying, he was more concerned with Long Baishan's inheritance. He was the eldest son of the Qin family, and all of the Fang Tian blood vein were with him. The people from the divine space had originally wanted to use him to deal with Long Fei, so he knew even more about Long Baishan's power. Kill, kill. When you are about to die, your father's last strike took away your power. As Qin Xian pondered, he quietly retreated to the side. At the same time, the heavenly emperor seal in the hands of the celestial emperor erupted with a bang, and an illusory figure walked out. It was as if he was an unparalleled emperor who had swept through all the lands and ruled over all the ages. Instantly, the space around them boiled. It's the number one emperor of the ancient times, haha. Even if Long Batian is the number one powerhouse of the ancient times, he's still trash in front of our Sky Empire's ancestors. Ha ha ha, just like that. What ancient number one powerhouse, they were all legends. However, we, the Celestial Emperor, have unified the world and created an untouchable ruler of the unknown. That's truly amazing. Stop talking, just watch. Watch as this reckless thing is suppressed. In the Sky Empire, every single one of them was extremely excited when they saw this figure appear. They rubbed their palms together, as though they wanted to witness the glory of the number one emperor of the ancient era. May. At this moment, from within the fist that Long Fei threw out, an illusory image also condensed out. However, it was extremely vague. Around his body, a violent energy wrapped around this fist. However, based on his senses, Long Fei was 100% certain that the owner of this figure was indeed Long Batian. Damn, did Long Batian escape? As if they were looking at each other, one black and one white. As if they were looking at each other, one black and one white. What was black was the power that Long Fei had exploded out. A condensed version of Long Batian appeared. An aura of destruction filled the air, as if a world was about to be buried. On the other hand, it came from the heavenly emperor seal. Haha, Long Fei, did you see that? Trash is trash, so what if you have obtained Long Baishan's inheritance? So what if your strength has surpassed perfection? Even Long Batian was not able to form his body, so how would he dare to clash with my heavenly emperor's body? He's simply reckless. The celestial emperor became increasingly arrogant, being incomparably confident in his own strength. As a heavenly ruler sovereign, he was currently using the supreme holy artifact, the heavenly emperor seal, to crush Long Fei without even the slightest bit of suspicion. No doubt about it. It was as if everything was under his control. In fact, all he could do now was to wait and mock her. Waiting for the two types of strength to collide, then Long Fei was smashed like a dog by himself. But Long Fei remained calm and collected. Was it really because his own pubes was not strong enough and did not condense? Of course not. Only Long Fei could feel that there was an invisible pressure on his body. It wasn't that he couldn't. It was because the heavens and the earth could not tolerate this. In this world, he was not qualified to take on the appearance of Long Batian. Allowing a blurry figure to appear was already a gift. It was as if the power of this world could only create a vague figure and it was not qualified for Long Batian's true form to appear. Otherwise, it was an insult. Long Batian is really King strong. But it just so happens. The stronger you are, the more you will be able to kill this super boss in front of you. Long Fei thought in his heart. At the same time, the two forces finally clashed. Boop! The energy of the burial realm was extremely violent and boundless. A dark aura instantly filled the entire space, completely engulfing the figure of the so-called number 1 emperor of the ancient era. No more. He didn't even have the chance to struggle. It was instantly submerged. This scene broke everyone's line of sight. This had happened too suddenly, directly extinguishing their hopes. Not only that, even the celestial emperor was affected by the power and was sent flying backwards. The stats of the boss above his head suddenly underwent an earth-shattering change. Before, he was a super boss, one without a dead angle. But now, the boss stats had completely dropped. His HP had gone from a bottomless pit to 50 billion. The damage he dealt was also greatly reduced. It became several 100 million. It could be said that the confrontation this time had completely pulled the Celestial Emperor down from his divine altar. It went from invincible to a huge boss with a huge treasure trove. No, that's impossible. No matter what kind of power it is, it needs a person to withstand it. How can you, an ant and a trash, unleash such power? I am a divine emperor. I control the world. I am undefeatable. I have the heaven and earth hierarchy. I don't believe it. The Heavenly Emperor seal was released. Sky Emperor sword, slash. The Heavenly Emperor had already entered a berserk state, heavily injuring him with a single attack, causing him to rage. This was because ever since he was established in the unknown ancient lands, he was born and became an emperor, revering every single one of them. When had he ever received such an injury? Thus, he was furious. And in Long Fei's heart, he suddenly felt that his entire being was not well. The joy he felt because of this power had disappeared without a trace. The heck, you went berserk. System, are you toying with me? Long Fei cursed. He knew that the system was not that simple. The more people attacked him, the more difficult his path would be. Especially this time, the one who attacked was none other than Long Batian. Therefore, this super big boss had once again mutated. The attributes that had just materialized once again disappeared, turning into question marks. Not only that, an additional notification popped up. The boss had mutated and its attack had doubled. Instantly, Long Fei's entire body crumbled. This was clearly an absolute killing method. He had originally wanted to destroy the boss in front of him with the help of the Graveyard of Gods, then cause a huge explosion with a group of small monsters. Then, a type of power exploded out from the Heavenly Emperor's body, capable of blocking Long Batian's attacks from behind. But now, everything was in vain. But luckily, Long Batian's power had not disappeared, the shadow was still there. Long Fei did not dare to think too much into it, and focused back into his mind and shifted his attention to the Heavenly Emperor. Ah, brat, you have already completely angered this emperor. Enjoy the dance of death. In the midst of his rage, the Heavenly Emperor's body instantly swelled up. At the same time, another figure emerged from the Heavenly Emperor seal. However, in the next moment, an extremely hilarious scene occurred. The silhouette that walked out from the Heavenly Emperor imprint actually stopped in his tracks. Long Fei's strength continued to push forward, and the figure that represented Long Batian took a step forward. Instead, this so-called number 1 ancient emperor quietly backed away. He was terrified. He was scared. He basically did not dare to directly face one of Long Batian's figures. So awesome, so berserk. The Celestial Emperor was stunned. The eyes were filled with disbelief. Looking at the power of the Celestial Emperor seal, it instantly lost its luster, and his entire being instantly went into a crazed state. Not really. How could this be? I don't believe it. Ancient Heavenly Emperor, come out, come out. The Celestial Emperor roared. His voice was like thunder. The world shook. However, it was useless. The destructive power of the graveyard of gods couldn't be broken by the power of the heavens. As the Heavenly Emperor's seal descended, it turned its head and walked away, as if it had walked into the wrong place. Ha ha ha. Long Fei laughed loudly. This was a slap to his face. The clamor of the Celestial Emperor reversed the blow to the face. He opened the door, and invited the great god out, wanting to suppress Long Fei. In the end, this so-called trump card was instantly defeated the moment he saw Long Batian. He turned around and ran. Ha ha ha, Celestial Emperor, is this your ancient Heavenly Emperor? Keep going. Are you Liu Qian's devil pot? Everything. Now, continue pretending, Long Fei retorted. His mood was incomparably carefree. He had suppressed this battle for far too long. Immediately, Long Fei did not hesitate anymore and made his move. He gathered all the power from the pubes and crazily rushed into Long Batian's shadow. He didn't even feel reluctant to part with the power that was bestowed by the heavens. He melted it and used it all at once. Ruumbel. Instantly, Long Batian's silhouette became a little more solid. His aura became even more terrifying. The entire world was silent because of this aura. Everything was quiet. Any sound disappeared without a trace at this moment. Die. Long Fei's eyes opened wide, and used his full strength. Swish. Under Long Fei's control, Long Batian's phantasm instantly took a step forward. With just a single step, the golden sword that was condensed in front of the Celestial Emperor was instantly submerged and turned into ashes. No. The Heavenly Emperor cried out miserably. He had not been able to escape the attack and had been directly caught within the power. Boom. 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 An aura of destruction filled the air. The heavens and earth had already been filled with that black aura. Shrouding the heavens and shrouding the sun. There was no light in the sky. There was not a single trace of light, and it was all drowned by darkness. His figure had long since been submerged and there was no sound at all. Is he dead? Long Fei's pupils constricted as he waited quietly. He had enough confidence in Long Batian's burial ground. Even the ancient Heavenly Emperor within the Heavenly Emperor seal was scared away. What could a single contemporary world possibly do? However, the aura at this moment, however, was incomparably strange. It was completely silent. There was no sound at all, not even from the system. Other than the endless darkness, there was no sound at all. This situation caused Long Fei to be unable to remain calm in his heart. If the system did not warn him, it meant that the Celestial Emperor was not dead. Understanding this, Long Fei's gaze tensed up as he stared fixedly at the dark void in front of him. At the same time, something strange happened. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The sound of an intense explosion came from within the cave. The black demon sea churned as it surged up and down. The aura of primal chaos that filled the skies constantly descended. The power of primordial chaos washed over and over again, over and over again. The entire space began to change. A little transparency. Even Long Batian's figure started to disappear under the effect of the chaotic force. He couldn't help it. It was to the point where Long Fei could feel the pubes' power within his body begin to rapidly dissipate, as if it was being suppressed by some kind of power, wanting to forcefully stop it. Long Fei was startled. He couldn't believe it. This was the power of Long Batian. A power that even the ancient world S could crush and destroy in the 9 heavens and 10 earth. At this moment, he was actually forced to stop. Was there such a powerhouse in this world? Plop, plop, plop. The world was silent. It was so quiet that Long Fei could only hear his own heartbeat. Even Long Batian's aura had disappeared without a trace. The draconic scales fell silent as well. Suddenly, he lost all sense of connection. Long Batian, Long Fei said softly. At this time, Long Fei only had Long Batian to rely on. But Long Batian had completely disappeared. Chaotic energy that filled the sky began to surge in, replacing the destructive power of the world and spreading through the void. At the same time, Long Fei's heart trembled. The jade pendant that had been silent in space for a long time suddenly exploded at this moment. In the blink of an eye, it had broken out from its body. Immediately after, the light shone brightly. It broke through the horizon. Whiz! Another beam of light burst out from the chaos. Immediately, it was inextricably linked with the light on the jade pendant, forming a beam of light made of chaos. In this moment, the power of primordial chaos became the only eternal. In the distance, the people from the Sky Empire were all shocked. He just stood there in a daze. His face still maintained the crazy smile he had left behind. However, this smile looked extremely inharmonious, as if it was the smile of a group of clowns. What's going on? Where's the Celestial Emperor? Why can't I see the Heavenly Emperor's figure anymore? Don't tell me. The crowd erupted into cheers. They couldn't believe what was happening right in front of their eyes. That's impossible. How could a piece of trash like him possibly hurt the Celestial Emperor? This is absolutely impossible. And this aura, could it be the Lord of Chaos? How is that possible? The Lord of Primordial Chaos actually appeared, Everyone began to speculate. Countless pairs of eyes stared at Long Fei. Kid, what did you do? What's with this aura of primal chaos? If you don't, this Marquis will let you die without a burial ground. Li Wuji's eyes turned cold. His body suddenly moved and descended into the sky. His aura instantly erupted, and at the same time, a golden light erupted from his body. Boss Gold. However, he was much weaker than a celestial emperor. Long Fei only glanced at them once before turning around. Compared to the strange situation before him, he was no longer interested in what Li Wuyu was like. But this kind of performance made Li Wujing extremely angry. Brat, this Marquis was talking to you, didn't you hear me? Li Wuji roared. Who is he? He was a peerless genius of the Li family. At the age of 20, he joined the army, and at the age of 30, he became a Marquis. In the Sky Empire, it could be said that he was below one person and above everyone else. Now that he was disregarded by Long Fei, his anger exploded. Brat, don't think that the power that you unleashed just now can cause the disappearance of the Celestial Emperor. I'm not afraid to tell you that the Heavenly Emperor Sovereign is completely fine. He was the Heavenly Emperor, the Emperor bestowed by the heavens. Now that the destiny of the Sky Empire is here and the power of the Heavens Mandate Holy General is still on the General's body, it means that the Sky Emperor is safe and sound. Thus, do not challenge my patience. Obediently say it and I will spare your dog life. As Li Wuyu spoke, a cold glint shot out from his eyes. When Long Fei heard it, his eyes moved slightly. The Celestial Emperor was still alive. Instantly, Long Fei felt that he was being retarded. This result was too unexpected. He had been waiting for the system to explode. What the heck is going on now? The Celestial Emperor was not dead. Long Batian's power was forcefully stopped, and mysteriously disappeared. It was so much so that the dragon scales within the pubes were completely without any trace of uniqueness, as if they could no longer detect Long Batian's aura. However, the only thing that made Long Fei glad was that the result he was worried about did not come to fruition. He had not lost anything. The system was still here. And he himself was still alive. What the hell is going on? Long Fei was anxious and his thoughts raced. No matter how hard he tried, he could not understand what was happening. There was also the jade pendant that suddenly appeared. Could it be that the owner of the jade pendant has appeared? Long Fei was overjoyed. That day, when his grandfather, Mu Tianhe, handed the jade pendant to him, he had said that the owner of the jade pendant had a great background. As long as he could find the owner, he would have a backer in this unknown land. The master of the jade pendant is most likely the master of chaos. Could it be that the Lord of Chaos has made his move? Long Fei's heart skipped a beat. This is King amazing. The Lord of Primal Chaos, last time, had sent her idea down. The divine space and the Qin family did not even dare to fart, oppressing the heavens with a single thought. If such an incredible existence were to make a move, if they really had a connection with each other, wouldn't he be running amok in this unknown land? The more he thought about it, the more excited Long Fei became. This way, he would also understand why Long Baishan's power would suddenly disappear without a trace. Because the Lord of Primal Chaos was someone from the same era as Long Batian. They were also from the ancient world. Even if Long Batian pushed the ancient times too far, he was still forced to ascend to the heavens. Just now, it was just a strand of power. Could compare to a living ancient strong? And suddenly, just as Long Fei was thinking, Li Wu Ye could not take it anymore, and Long Fei ignored him. Bang, bang, bang. Brat, you dare to ignore me? If I don't kill you today, you won't know the meaning of despair. The power of annihilation. The destruction of all things. The power of annihilation. The destruction of all things. When Li Wuyu's destructive force descended, Long Fei did not even have the time to react before he was directly struck. The berserk and raging energy instantly engulfed Long Fei's 8 extraordinary meridians. Wave after wave of piercing pain came out, as if it wanted to penetrate Long Fei's body. All the blood in his body froze at this moment and started to evaporate bit by bit. Not just that. It was only the time of a breath. This power crazily flowed into the pubes. Immediately, Long Fei even felt a sharp pain, as though his pubes was about to shatter. Instantly, Long Fei's face turned ashen. Ding! The player's body has been invaded by an unknown force. The health point has started to drop. Please settle this as soon as possible. At this moment, the system's voice could be heard. Is the destructive power so violent? Long Fei's heart was shaken. Of course, he was even more furious. Tian Lu, who was overpowered by him. The powerful Qin family had already been annihilated by the power of the pubes. Sky Emperor was powerful, and was also drowned by Long Baishan's power. Even though he did not die, he had also disappeared without a trace. However, she never expected that she would fall in the dark and be ambushed by Li Wuyu. Right. It was a sneak attack. Because he had experienced the Sky Emperor's power, Long Fei did not care about Li Wugo at all. All he cared about was the disappearance of the Sky Emperor, and he did not care at all. However, he had never imagined that the destructive power would be so strong that it exceeded his imagination. Ding! Player Long Fei's health point is too low. Please add in time. The system prompted again. Little Green, heal. Long Fei said firmly in his heart. At this time, there was no time to think about it. Long Fei did not want to, after getting rid of Long Baishan's threat, to die in the hands of a little rascal. At Long Fei's command, the heavenly ranges moved and millions of blood immediately gushed over. However, what made Long Fei upset was that even after his health point recovered, that negative state still remained, and the destructive force still had not disappeared. This won't do. If this goes on, my HP will be completely drained sooner or later. Long Fei was stunned. Zhong Xian was taken aback. He turned around and looked at Li Wuji. Ha ha ha, boy, how is it? Isn't that great? The destructive power of this general isn't that great, right? How awesome do you think you are? How about it? You who lost that power, what are you now? The Celestial Emperor is right, he's just a piece of trash. Li Wuyu said with an arrogant look in his eyes. High and mighty. Concealment. He had a complacent look on his face. The eyes of those around us are filled with relief and envy. Sigh, I didn't think that the Long Fei who lost his power would actually be a piece of trash. If I had known earlier, I would have attacked. Although the Celestial Emperor had only disappeared for a short period of time, he would be back very soon. At that time, killing Long Fei will be a great contribution. It's a pity that General Li is one step ahead. The people of the Heavenly Empire were filled with regret. However, there was one person who was surprised, and that was Qin Xian's feeling. Qin Xian didn't care that much. The Qin family had been annihilated by Long Fei, how could he be at ease? Furthermore, he was the one who informed the Heavenly Emperor of the secret on Long Fei. The clearest was that only by killing Long Fei would one be able to truly obtain the power of Long Fei's pubes. Thus, at this instant, He made his move. A square stamp fell from the sky. Ha ha ha, boy, you're mine now, mine now. You didn't expect that, right? Your father is waiting for you here. Long Baishan's power is mine now. Qin Xian appeared out of nowhere and attacked fiercely. Even Li Wuji was shocked as he looked over coldly. However, he did not stop them. After all, Qin Xuanin's cultivation was not much weaker than his, and she was a newcomer to be near the heaven and earth, so he did not want to offend her. This time, Long Fei. The destructive force in his body was still raging, but Long Fei had already let it go. Because at this very moment, it was already midnight. All skills had been refreshed. This meant that he could use his trump card again. Even if he did not have Long Baishan's strength, he could also fight. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Time passed. 3 breaths. The huge seal finally landed. But right at the moment he landed, Long Fei made his move. An ultimate weapon had appeared in his hands. In that moment, the killing weapon became a huge mountain, held up by Long Fei's palm. Fang Tianying, right? If Laozi doesn't show his might, do you really think you're so amazing that you can fly? I, the Celestial Emperor, dares to go head-to-head with you 2 dogs. What the heck do you think? Explode for me, Long Fei shouted. He let out a breath of impure air. He pushed the mountain out of his hands crazily. Boo! No matter if it was the Grand Seal or Long Fei's big killing tool, when the 2 enormous objects collided in the air, it was an explosion of power that surpassed the level of holy artifact. The force of the collision caused the space to collapse. Countless Sky Imperials were swept up by this power and pushed into the void. They were instantly torn apart and their souls pierced through by this spatial turbulence. The dead vanished. Ding, ding, ding. Yet another wave of experience came. Long Fei was startled, and laughed dryly. He had never thought that this would be the case. It was a completely unexpected surprise that it actually brought him such rewards. Even Qin Xian's perception had been affected by this power and suffered a backlash. This was because the heavenly seal was formed from the condensed power of his inheritance. But a big killing weapon was a super killing weapon that surpassed the level of holy artifact. The difference between the strong and the weak could be seen in one move. Brat. How can you no longer have the power of pubes, how can you still use such a method? Qin Xian was stunned. He looked at Long Fei in disbelief. Then, a sense of danger came over him as he turned around and tried to run away. But no matter how he ran, that sense of danger never left him. It lingered in his heart the entire time. Impossible, impossible. How could a trash like you give me such a feeling? Qin Xian let out a furious roar, and escaped in the direction of Li Wugo in a crazed manner. Li Wuyu was stunned, and his face changed. Qin Xian, are you crazy? Why are you running here? Li Wuyu didn't know why Qin Xian suddenly ran away. However, he knew that the power of frenzied borders was not that simple. The power that even he did not dare to face must not be underestimated. Instantly, he too turned and left. Not for a minute. He didn't dare to say a single harsh word. Instantly, everyone in the air was stunned. Feelings began to doubt life. The 2 people from before were getting more and more arrogant as they tried to kill Long Fei in succession. But now, Long Fei had only just opened his mouth, yet he had already said something in retaliation, and was already scared off. Instantly, everyone began to run. None of them dared to take the risk. They were afraid that Long Fei would explode once again. Not only them, but even Long Fei had a kind smile on his face at this moment. However, you want to leave after acting cool? It doesn't exist. Furthermore, the destructive force in his body had not yet been eliminated, so how could Long Fei let Li Wu Kuei off? Instantly, the big killing weapon in Long Fei's hand turned into a long blade. Ding! God of Heaven fanatics, lock onto him. The 2 of them compared notes. All of them wanted to see Long Fei die, so they could take credit for it. But now, Long Fei's technique had been completed. They want to leave? Impossible. There was a price to be paid for becoming a pretentious criminal. Especially since he wanted to leave after acting tough in front of Long Fei. How could such a good thing exist? Ding. Locked on. The heavenly god maniac had been activated. This time, Long Fei had locked onto Li Wuji. Boo! He slashed out. The divine god was incomparably domineering. Tens of thousands of Zhonglong blade light spread out in the air and attacked towards Ji Hao in the blink of an eye. Hualala. A distance of nearly 1,000 kilometers was instantly cleaved apart by the saber. Li Wuyu had no time to dodge at all. He could only use one saber strike to strike the head on. Boo! Extermination fist. Seeing this, Li Wuji knew that it was impossible for him to dodge, so he could only meet it head-on. Bang bang. 2 loud bangs. Li Wuyu's body was immediately sent flying, but during the process of flying, he took the initiative to approach Qin Xian. These 2 loud bangs were the sounds of both of them falling from the sky. Li Wuyu, are you King crazy? Qin Xian felt his body smashing into a small hill, and he was seriously injured. You're the one that's sick. If it wasn't for you, would his power have locked onto me? Li Wuyu angrily roared, as he did not have any good impressions of Qin Xian. You. Qin Xian was at a loss for words, and was instantly speechless. What did you say? King Hell, you clearly angered Long Fei, and even dragged him into this. After we take care of Long Fei, we will settle our debts with you. Li Wu spoke with a heavy tone. Then we'll have to get rid of that trash Long Fei first. Qin Xian said as he took a step back. It was at this moment. Long Fei's figure also chased after him. There's no need to be anxious. Today, neither of you will be able to escape. The Emperor of Destruction, right? The Emperor of Fang Tian? Coincidentally, your father will kill you too today. Long Fei's eyes flashed. The fact that the Heavenly Emperor was still alive had already made Long Fei feel depressed. Now that he had gained the inheritance of 2 great emperors, he felt a little bit more at ease. Thus, no matter what, he couldn't let them go. God of Heaven Berserk, // Long Fei bellowed, and did not stop. Amidst the rumbling sounds, the blade chi pierced through the air and descended towards Li Wugo once again. This was an absolute killing method. Once locked, it was powerless to break it. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Instantly, the second slash landed and the damage instantly rose explosively. Swish. Li Wuyu could not react at all. As he raised his head, he used both his arms to prop himself up. And then, 2 destructive energies exploded from his arms. Instantly, it traveled through the blade chi. SSSSI. The 2 forces seemed to have split apart as sparks flew out from the friction. But this destructive power, in just 2 moves, was still annihilated by the blade chi. It descended again. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Li Wuji's body was smashed away once again. His entire body was twitching. Trembling. His arms were already badly mangled from the shock. Li Wuyu was furious, his entire being no longer as calm as before. Kid, don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you have some tricks up your sleeves. I advise you to stop when you have enough. Don't force me to throw a tantrum. I refuse to believe that you can still use such a power. Li Wu Jiang glared at Long Fei with his eyes wide open. But to Long Fei, this threat was like a child's play. He did not care at all. The power of the Empyrean god maniac had only been unleashed 2 times. Long Fei also had the absolute confidence that he would be able to kill Li Wuyu. Therefore, Long Fei looked at Li Wuyu, his eyes full of teasing. Rage? Fine, let this daddy see exactly how powerful your destructive power is. Long Fei laughed. The power of extermination? He just so happened to need it. Good, good, what a wild prick. Since you wish to die, I shall grant your wish. Annihilate the heavens and the earth. Li Wu Yue shouted. This time, he was not passive and took the initiative to attack. All the strength in his body exploded out. A wave of destructive energy roamed through the void. Instantly, the entire world began to change. This is the Li family's supreme battle technique. Destroy this world, and all living things in this world will be annihilated. This time, this brat is finished. I dare to bet that he will definitely be hacked apart and die from drying up. Definitely. This scourge is finally dead. I don't know how long it has been since I last had cholera. An ant of the divine space actually dares to overturn the heavens, so death is not worthy of lament. In the distance, those from the heavenly empire finally had the heart to speak. Previously, they didn't even dare to fart. But now, his mind was alive again. That was because Li Wuji was publicly acknowledged to be the strongest among them, the strongest among all the disciples beneath the heavenly emperor. And now, this world had been destroyed. It was even more so because he was famous for his strength. Even the celestial emperor was full of praise for him. Therefore, in their eyes, Long Fei had to die. At this moment, Long Fei looked at the change in the qi between heaven and earth, his gaze calm. After a long period of silence, the Sky Spill Emperor's system once again began to shake. Of course, the first to bear the brunt of the attack was the Emperor of Destruction. The destructive aura had already begun to rage and burst with an intense desire to devour. Ha ha ha, as expected, this guy definitely has the aura of the Emperor of Destruction on him. Longevity, decay, Yang Tian, there's still extermination and Fang Tian. Formidable, my brother. Formidable, there's already 5 of them. Long Fei started to feel a faint joy in his heart. The 13 Emperor of Sky Spill was one of the functions of the system, and from Long Baishan's mouth, he had once said that this was the key for him to leave this unknown place. Therefore, Long Fei was very concerned about it. The earlier the day was, the more crucial it was. Furthermore, the true 13 Emperor was waiting for him in some place. As such, how could he possibly let him go? God of Heaven Berserk, lock on. Long Fei moved without any hesitation. So what if the destructive power was powerful? He could block Empyrean gods' maniacs. Non-existent. Instantly, following Long Fei's orders, the great killing weapon in his hand revolved once again. This strike was even more domineering. The devastating power wiped out everything. What was in front of him? Just one word. Slash. If one slash wasn't enough, then another one. This was what a heavenly god maniac was. Rumble, rumble, rumble. As soon as the 30,000-meter blade appeared, the so-called world was exterminated. Boom. 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 Asterisk even Li Wuyu was swept away by this saber. Puff. Li Wu Yue spat out a mouthful of blood mist and looked at Long Fei in disbelief. Completely stupefied. Impossible. This is my Li family's annihilation battle technique. How could it be cut apart? Li Wu Yue said in shock, his entire being crumbling apart. At the same time, his attributes were completely revealed. Blood power. 30 billion. Furthermore, even after being injured, there were still so many left. God of Heaven fanatics, repeat again. Long Fei's pupils contracted as his eyes started to flicker. As long as the attributes were out. This meant that the following slash would no longer be something that Li Wuyu could defend against, and would directly cause damage. It doesn't matter how much blood you have. Today, I will torture you until you explode. Long Fei steeled his heart and attacked crazily. The Jedi attack. The Jedi attack. From the moment he had activated the pubes' power, Long Fei's anger had been suppressed. Now, the pubes' hidden danger had been eliminated. Of course I have to vent. The best way to vent their anger was to kill the boss. Only the boss was the best healing potion. There was nothing a boss couldn't do. If there were, then there would be 2. And just like that, there were 2 of them in front of him. It's also because you all are acting recklessly. The Heavenly Emperor is not dead, yet you all have come here to die. If I don't explode, I will feel sorry for myself. Long Fei thought in his heart as he coldly watched the blade slash down. Boom! Boom. There was no resistance, no surprise. The blade hit directly. Crash. Asterisk when the blade struck down, it was visible to the naked eye. Li Wuyu's health bar fell rapidly, losing billions of HP in an instant. Even Long Fei was surprised. The damage from this strike was simply outrageous. Before, the damage was only a few tens of millions. But now, a single slash had cost him billions. Fuck, who else? Even the boss has billions of damage, not the boss, and you're not even going to insta-kill him? Long Fei was elated. It was extremely satisfying. Did the system level up? Long Fei's heart trembled. From start to finish, there had been no notification from the system, but now that the damage suddenly exploded, Long Fei was a little shocked. Could it be a jade pendant? Long Fei was shocked. Instantly, Long Fei linked the system and looked towards the heavenly god fanatic once again. God of Heaven Berserk, destruction level. Stats, destroyed, dead. Description, under 9 slashes, a person can kill a person 15 levels below. Beginning attack 1 billion, every attack doubled. With a bonus 10% or so rate of critical hits, that was a 400% chance. Special attributes, can no longer lock onto a target, once target dies, it can directly change target. Hiss. Whoosh. Seeing this, Long Fei sucked in a breath of cold air. Indeed, it had been upgraded. An existence which had previously only transcended the deity level was now completely destroyed. The difference between the two could be imagined. System, what is going on? Long Fei asked. The heavenly god fanatic has fused with the power of Long Baishan's world burial power, so it has automatically leveled up. The system replied. He did not say much. But just these few words were enough to cause Long Fei's heart to jump out of his throat. This bastard. It had actually merged with Long Baishan's power. System, you are the biggest Oriole. Haha, if Long Batian is a child, I'm afraid his intestines are turning green from regret. System, you are the real boss. Long Fei laughed loudly in his heart. Long Baishan's power was something that would even instantly reach the Heavenly Emperor realm. But now, it had mysteriously fused with the Heavenly God's madness. Wouldn't that mean that the power of the Heavenly God madman would be able to even touch the Heavenly Emperor? Especially the 1 billion on the initial attack, it was even more of a fortress. The kind that was forced into the sky. A normal boss only had tens of billions of health left. Add to that the double of the original, and the 9th slash would deal over 100 billion damage. With 9 slashes, he would be able to produce over 400 billion HP. In addition, if he wasn't careful enough, he would directly explode with a critical hit. Who could live? Who else could it be? Seeing that, Long Fei's eyes looked at Li Wu full of pity. These two idiots came out at the wrong time, I just happened to use you two to verify. 5th blade, God of Heaven fanatics, die for me. This was the 5th slash, a swing of the blade. The entire world was going berserk again. A surge of destructive power exploded forth. It swept through the entire space. An endless destructive aura frantically gathered from the void of heaven and earth, condensing on this blade and crushing it down. In an instant, Li Wuji was so frightened that his face was drained of color. He was already heavily injured, but he could still feel the terrifying strength contained within this slash. No, no. Long Fei, stop. Could it be that you want to become enemies with the entire Li family? Our Li family is a nobleman of the Heavenly Empire. The background of our family is not something you can imagine. And Li Wuxin, don't you want him to return to the Li family? Do you want to disappoint your brother? In the midst of his panic, Li Wuyu could no longer retreat. He had to open his mouth. Threats. In the air, Long Fei's eyes turned cold. The thing he was least afraid of was threats. There was only one rule for those who threatened him. That was killing. Ha! Long Fei sneered. Amidst his sneer, he suddenly exerted force and the blade fell. KCHA. *1 hit. Li Wuyu's body was cut into 2. It left a huge wound with blood flowing out. 6 billion damage was dealt, and Li Wuji's HP was instantly reduced to less than half. But even so, Li Wuyu still did not die. Don't kill me. Long Fei, I beg you, I will not act cool anymore. The Heavenly Emperor is not dead yet. I can give my position to you. In the future, You will be an existence below the Heavenly Emperor and above 10,000 people. As long as you don't kill me, I'll give you anything you want. Li Wuji kept retreating. At this moment, he was full of regret. He wondered why he had jumped out. Even the Emperor wasn't able to deal with a person who had gone missing. Not only him, even the faraway Qin Xian was so stupefied that cold sweat broke out on his forehead, and he immediately began to flee. As for the Sky Empire, they were completely silent. The scene that they had imagined did not appear at all. Directly reversed. Li Wuyu was beaten until he was like a dog lying on the ground. As for Long Fei, she was completely safe and sound. No, this child is too powerful. He is simply not someone we can handle. We need to move strategically. It won't be too late to kill him when the Celestial Emperor returns. That's right. We must preserve our strength and wait for the return of the Celestial Emperor. In an instant, no one dared to stay. They were afraid that once Li Wuji died, it would be their turn. However, what they did not know was that Long Fei did not care about them at all. At this time, Long Fei was floating in the air. Similarly, Long Fei was shocked by the berserk nature of the blade. He felt that his life had already reached its peak due to the 16 billion damage it dealt. Begging for mercy, non-existent. As for what I want, as long as I kill you, I will have everything. Killing intent surfaced in Long Fei's eyes, the killing intent surged atop the killing weapon. The sixth slash from the Empyrean god Berserker struck out in the blink of an eye. No. Li Wuyu screamed, his eyes full of fear. However, it was useless. This strike was a fatal blow to him. Rumble, rumble, rumble. As expected, after the God of Heaven Berserk mode, Li Wuyu's figure had already disappeared without a trace. He was crushed into smithereens. No more. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Li Wuyu. You have obtained 20,000 experience, 200,000 holy source points, and 1 striking value point. Ding. Congratulations player for obtaining world exterminating technique. Ding. Congratulations player for obtaining extinction power. Ding. Congratulations player on obtaining extinction. Ding. Congratulations player on obtaining the Emperor's legacy. It was just as Long Fei thought. It was just as Long Fei thought. The system exploded. He didn't even use his berserk force, and his harvest was already extremely bountiful. Ding, the destructive force has been devoured. Long Fei was startled, but quickly recovered. The system had this ability to pee, and it was often willful, devouring everything it wanted. It was always a direct notification, not an inquiry beforehand. Boo! A mist appeared, flickering within the Sky Spill Emperor's system. Long Fei knew that the experience of another great emperor had been awakened. The Emperor of Destruction. Without batting an eyelid, Long Fei looked at Li Wuxin. Without any surprise, this power belonged to Li Wuxin. But right now, Long Fei was not in the mood to care about all these. Because right now, the power of the heavenly god fanatics was still ongoing, so how could Long Fei let them go? At this point, the Sky Emperor had already disappeared. When they were facing Long Fei's fifth slash, they had already escaped. This was because Long Fei had already caused them to tremble in fear. At this time, even the sense of Qin Xian had disappeared without a trace. You want to leave, but there's no way. If you want to hurry up, then cut off your father's path. Then Laozi will kill them to the point that they are afraid. The corner of Long Fei's mouth twitched. A cold sneer appeared on his face. Hand of Chaos. Come back here. Long Fei bellowed, his eyes turning red from killing. The hostility in his heart had yet to dissipate. Only the berserk voice of the system could quell the anger in his heart. The only way was to kill. Instantly, the clouds churned. A pair of large hands covered the sky, and the entire sky seemed to become incomparably small. It was as if he was being held in his hands. When Long Fei saw this, he could feel the scene in front of him right away. The heck, will the Hand of Chaos be able to level up as well? Using the backhand to suppress all the super existences? Long Fei fantasized, and the more he thought about it, the more likely it was to be true. Especially at this moment, the hand of chaos was filled with a powerful aura of chaos. Especially in this unknown region of primal chaos, it was like a fish back in the water, as if it had become a ruler. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Within the void of primordial chaos, a pair of large hands shuttled back and forth between the chaotic sea of clouds. With a sudden movement, they covered a distance of 10,000 kilometers. Su su su. One figure after another was controlled by the hand of chaos and thrown back in the blink of an eye. No, impossible. What kind of existence is this? How is this possible? How did we come back? Just where did this brat come from? How could he have such a method? Heavens, are they trying to kill us all? The Sky Empire people roared in madness, their faces full of rage and fear. His eyes searched the void in a daze, until he saw a pair of large hands shuttling back and forth from the primal chaos bell and grabbed Qin Xian back. His face was completely ashen. There was nowhere to run. There was no way to escape at all. This pair of giant hands seemed to cover the entirety of the primordial chaos. He couldn't jump out at all. No. This is a divine ability of the Lord of primordial chaos. Long Fei, let me go. You have already exterminated my Qin family. Don't tell me you still want to exterminate us. I swear, I will never make things difficult for you again. I will never act arrogantly in front of you. Qin Xian opened his mouth to beg for mercy. Long Fei's attacks were unstoppable, and Li Wujiang's death was still fresh in his mind. He was not a match for Li Wugo in the first place, but now that Li Wugo was under Long Fei's control, he did not have any ability to retaliate at all. What could he do? Other than begging, there was no other possibility of survival. Long Fei's gaze was ridiculing, and he had a cold smile at the corner of his mouth. Exterminate all? Heh, well said. When your Qin family used this trick of yours to force Euro to condense runes, didn't you say you would kill her completely? When we were in Thousand Sun City, you joined the Zhao family to attack me. Why didn't you say that you were going all out to kill me? When your father wasn't using his full strength, if you want to rob me while I'm still not using my full strength, why don't you just kill me all you want? Your father's life is only F*King special. Your Qin family has been thinking about it for so long, and now you're telling me to kill you all? Long Fei sneered. With every word he said, the power within the big killing weapon in his hand condensed. As the sound of his voice faded, the light emitted by the killing weapon grew increasingly resplendent and resplendent. The aura of primal chaos shattered under the impact of the blade chi. Amidst the chaos, he disappeared without a trace. The only thing left behind was a 30,000-meter-long blade, which descended from the sky. Rumble, rumble, rumble. In that instant, there was no light in the world. Blade chi moved unhindered, extremely berserk. A true killing weapon of the cycle. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The sky rumbled. Large areas of the void of primal chaos fell, and countless mountains and rivers ruptured. The desolate lands on the great earth were grieving, whales were everywhere, and creatures were terrified. This blade attack caused the apocalypse to come. But for Long Fei, there was not the slightest bit of psychological burden. The entire unknown land was not kind to him. Thus, he only cared about those who cared about him. As for the others, he completely ignored them. At the same time, the saber chopped down heavily. No. Qin Xian's senses were right under the blade, and he was immediately locked down by the madness of the god, so much so that he could not avoid it at all. After a miserable howl, it was drowned out by the blade light. Instantly, the blood mist erupted. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for defeating Qin Xian. You have obtained 18 million experience points, 180,000 holy source points, and 1 striking value point. Ding! Congratulations player for obtaining the Sky Seal. Ding! Congratulations player for obtaining Sky High Power. Ding! Congratulations player for obtaining the Heaven's Hammer. A system announcement rang out after a one-hit kill. Of course, this was not the end. It was just the beginning. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing the Deputy General of the Heavenly Empire. You have obtained 70,000 experience, 70,000 holy source points, and 1 striking value point. Ding! The system rang out incessantly, but other than experience, there was nothing else. Long Fei was not in the mood to listen to how many people he had killed with a single slash. His eyes were glued to the EXP bar. Rampage. This slash had gained more than 10 billion experience. It was only a few 100 million away from leveling up. It was just 2 bosses. It's worth it, haha, it's really worth it. God of Heaven Madman still has 3 blades, who else could it be? I only ask one question, who else is there? Long Fei laughed loudly in his heart. He was simply too grateful towards Long Batian to the point that he did not want him anymore. Completely arrogant. Suddenly, Long Fei's heart froze. He checked the items that came out of Qin Xian's profound sense. Damn, where's Fang Tian's legacy? It didn't explode. That shouldn't be the case. The Qin family has already been exterminated. The inheritance is definitely in his hands. Long Fei was suspicious. Gritting his teeth, he said, "Berserk power, explode. Ding, congratulations player for obtaining Emperor Fang Tian's inheritance. Ding, congratulations player, the Sky Spill system, for activating 5 of the Great Emperor's legacy and obtaining a special reward. The reward is the Purple Star Great Emperor's inheritance." The system's voice appeared. F***CK, this F***K wants me to go to heaven. This was definitely the most violent strike. This was definitely the most violent strike. No one. Long Fei's heart was filled with emotion. This was definitely the first time he had faced 15 people at the same time. A single slash had the strength inheritance of 2 emperors. Just ask who else. 3 strength inheritances, plus Yaya, Zhongyu, and Yuru, that means 6 have been activated. Plus the 6 from the Sky Empire. Ha ha ha, there's only 1 more. The Great Emperor's system will be completed soon. I wonder what the reward will be then. Long Fei was ecstatic. There was a faint sense of anticipation. More importantly, he was about to level up. That was the most important thing. At this time, the void had returned to its previous calm state. The people of the Heavenly Empire had all died. In the distance, only Yu Ru, Li Yuanba, and Li Wuxin remained. At this time, they had already rushed over. Li Yuanba was beaming with joy, and laughed out loud. Ha ha ha, boss, you are awesome. I knew that you are the one who created miracles. I knew it. This is how we've walked our entire way here. Nothing unexpected will happen this time. Li Yuanba said with excitement in his eyes. They were even filled with tears. Long Fei was moved. Between him and Li Yuanba was the true brother who had experienced life and death. Li Yuanba spoke very easily at this time, but Long Fei could hear the deep concern and happiness in her voice. Don't worry, I, your boss, won't die that easily. Long Fei said as he looked towards Yuru. On the other hand, Yuru directly cut into Long Fei's embrace and broke down crying. Don't worry, your man is invincible. Don't panic in such a small situation. Long Fei patted his chest and said, Fut, why are you praising yourself so much? Yuro smiled through her tears. Hehe, since everything has been resolved, it's fine. Long Fei said. Invincible? Strong. He had never given up on this road. Even if he had to do it now, it was all for this goal. Only in this way would he be able to uncover the fog and the cage that he had once been unable to escape from. Only then would he be able to obtain true freedom. Right at this moment, Li Wuxin suddenly patted Long Fei's shoulder. Boss. Long Fei turned around and saw Li Wuxin's face full of anticipation. There's no need to say anything. This thing was originally prepared for you. But now, leaving this place is the key. Long Fei said. The result of being a paragon, although the Celestial Emperor had not died in this battle, relatively speaking, it was already the best result, and the harvest from it was quite bountiful. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that he was the biggest winner. But right at this moment, the entire world of chaos suddenly changed. Even Long Fei and the others were also attracted by it. Especially Long Fei, her eyes turned cold. This aura. It was none other than the Celestial Emperor who had disappeared earlier. The Celestial Emperor is here. Leave. Long Fei shouted. The might of the Celestial Emperor was not something they could deal with. Even the aftermath of the battle was not something they could endure. Go! Ha ha ha, Long Fei, you want me to slaughter everything? You still want to leave? Impossible. An enraged voice resounded from the void, spreading in all directions, as though the entire space had been locked down. Impossible? Have you forgotten who was the one who was beaten up just now? If it wasn't for someone helping you, maybe you'd already be a dead dog, and you'd still be standing in front of me. What heavenly emperor? Wasn't he beaten into a dog by this father? I think you are the dog emperor. Long Fei said indifferently. Losing didn't mean losing the battle. No matter how strong the heavenly emperor was, Long Fei would never admit defeat. Moreover, Long Fei still had some expectations in his heart. It was the god of heaven madman. This was because, at this point in time, there were still 3 more saber strikes from the god of heaven madman. You still dare to be stubborn? Little bastard, why don't you take a look and see what you still have? Without Long Baishan's power, you're just a dog. A trash inferior to ants dares to act so arrogantly in front of me? Go to hell. The power of the Emperor, supreme being of the 9th 5. Subdue. The heavenly Emperor's body appeared out of thin air and his hands pressed down. Immediately, a soul-tearing pressure erupted. Puff, puff, puff. 3 consecutive sounds. Li Yuanba, Li Wuxin, and Yu Ru were suppressed by the crushing force in the blink of an eye as they spat out a mouthful of blood. Yu Ru. Yuanba. Unintentional. Long Fei turned around, his face full of worry, almost instinctively, and jumped in front of the few of them, retracting all of the pressure onto his body. Crack, crack, crack. The sound of bones shattering appeared. Long Fei only felt his blood and qi churning, and his bones cracking. It seemed as if it would break at any moment. Ha ha ha, you really are trash. Without Long Baishan's power, you are at most a slightly stronger ant. You can't even withstand one of my auras, yet you want to overturn the heavens? The heavens and earth laughed arrogantly. On the other hand, Long Fei's eyes were bloodshot as he glared at her. He clenched his fists so hard that it felt like his veins were about to burst. The difference. This was the absolute disparity. Level was an insurmountable wound. But to have Long Fei admit his wrongs was impossible. Just now, I was able to hit you until you disappeared without a trace. Now that you don't have Long Batian, I will destroy you as well. Immortal body, absolute body, god of heaven berserk, 7th/, lock onto. Long Fei shouted, and used almost all of his strength. Swish. 1/. He used his immortal body to withstand the crushing pressure of the heaven and earth, and then leaped into the air, heavily waving the huge killing weapon in his hand. Boom! Boom. The 30,000-meter-long saber fell down from the sky, chopping at the head of the Celestial Emperor. Heh, overestimating yourself. Do you think this kind of power can injure me? You think you are Long Batian? Not enough, an ant is an ant. As the Celestial Emperor spoke, his figure instantly vanished. When he reappeared, he was already in front of the Longblade. He was actually taking the initiative to attack. Sky Emperor fist, break for me. The Celestial Emperor roared as he punched out with both of his fists. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The 2 forces collided, and rays of light filled the entire space. Boom! 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 Violent energy continued to spread in all directions. Wherever it passed by, all living things would be destroyed by it. Not even a single trace was left behind. Boom! Asterisk. The Celestial Emperor threw another punch. The 30,000-meter-long blade light was instantly dispersed. As for himself, he was completely unharmed. Haha, Did you see that, Long Fei? This emperor said that you are trash. Without the power of Long Batian from before, you don't even have the possibility of harming this emperor. However, you injured this emperor just now. I am very displeased. Only your death can wash away this humiliation. Sky Emperor Fist, descend. As the Heavenly Emperor spoke, he took a step forward and punched towards Long Fei's face. Boom, boom, boom. In an instant, Long Fei was struck by the fist, and his body flew back like a kite with its string cut. Unprepared. There was no time to react at all. The punch came crashing over. Boom, boom, boom. After smashing apart countless of buildings, Long Fei's figure finally stopped. Long Fei felt that his internal organs were all dislocated, and within this fist strike, there was an indescribable force. It was a supreme power that could rule over all living beings, and it even sealed his pubes. Fortunately, his power system was the power of the system, so his real power would not be affected much. But this already shocked Long Fei. F***ck, what the hell happened? You can't even suppress the power of an Empyrean god madman? The damage of tens of billions was actually directly destroyed. How is this possible? Beneath his body, Long Fei's health had already reached 0. One punch took millions of blood to the end. If he didn't have an immortal body, he would have perished long ago. Soon after, Long Fei's eyes flashed, and a terrifying guess appeared in his mind. That was... The Heavenly Emperor's cultivation had already surpassed his own level by 15. F***ck, how am I supposed to fight? A deep feeling of powerlessness emerged from Long Fei's heart. Kid, why aren't you making your move? Come again, this emperor has already said that without Long Batian's power, you're just an ant. An ant shaking a tree, an ant overturning the heavens? It doesn't exist. Sky Emperor was incomparably arrogant, laughing coldly, ridiculing him with his words without end. Below, Long Fei's eyes were tearing up. His nails had already seeped into his flesh and he hated them with all his heart. A deep sense of powerlessness welled up in his heart. If the level of the Heavenly Emperor was higher than his by 15 levels, even a leveled-up heavenly god madman would not be able to do anything and would not be able to kill him. In that moment, a feeling of helplessness grew within his heart. The pain was indescribable. Especially the words of the Heavenly Emperor, it made Long Fei feel even more humiliated. The key to it all was Long Batian. Starting from the god's martial continent, Long Batian's power existed, enveloping Long Fei. Long Fei went berserk all the way, massacring everything in his way. His goal was to defend himself against the god-killing fury and to break free from all of his powers. But today, right now, everything returned to its original form. Without Long Batian, he couldn't even break the Heavenly Emperor's defense. Even if it was the power of the system, it was insignificant. In that moment, all sorts of emotions filled Long Fei's heart. Loss, powerlessness, frustration, self-blame, helplessness. It filled his heart. His entire person was in a stupefied state. His expression changed several times, sometimes sinister, sometimes crazy, sometimes upset, sometimes crumbling. It was close to hysteria. In the sky, the corners of the Sky Emperor's mouth curled into a disdainful sneer as he looked at Long Fei's expression. Trash, you think you can create a calamity? This time, this sovereign has shown the Lord of all fiends that he is wrong. Unchanging. You're just a piece of trash. With that, the Heavenly Emperor's figure instantly disappeared. He once again appeared, right in front of Long Fei. KCHA. Asterisk with one hand, he lifted Long Fei's neck up and then flung him away. He was sent flying another few thousand kilometers. Boom, boom, boom. Long Fei's body was like a rubber ball. If not for the fact that his immortal body still had the power to dominate his body, he would have been dead by now. Boss, Long Fei. In the distance, Li Yuanba and the other two cried out in alarm when they saw Long Fei being severely injured, and they rushed towards Long Fei without a care for anything else. Li Yuanba was even more flabbergasted. His bell-like eyes shone with a look of hatred. He hated them to the bone. He wished that the Celestial Emperor could eat him alive. Old thing, you dare injure my boss. I'll kill you. Li Yuanba instantly exploded forward as he threw out a punch. If Long Fei is a trash, you all. Not even trash. Get out of my way. Boom. The Celestial Emperor lightly threw a punch. With that punch, Li Yuanba's figure was immediately sent flying. He landed heavily and sank into a coma, and was unknown whether he was dead or alive. Yu Ru ran over to Long Fei's side. Seeing the Long Fei who was close to bedevilish and had no reaction at all, she couldn't stop her tears from rolling down. Whiz. Li Wuxin's figure also flew out. Even though he knew that his cultivation level was the lowest among them. But he did not run away. If Long Fei could risk his life to protect him, he could also use his own life to protect Long Fei. Eldest sister-in-law, lead the boss away, Li Wuxin said in a low voice, and then crazily rushed towards the Celestial Emperor. Idiot, you actually dare to stop me with this level of cultivation? Scram. POW. With a casual palm strike, Li Wuxin was sent flying several tens of thousands of miles away. It couldn't even stop the passage of time. Hua. The Heavenly Emperor's figure appeared in front of Long Fei. Boy, I would quite like to see who will die for you this time around. The Celestial Emperor said coldly. But Long Fei didn't react at all. Or perhaps, it could be said that Long Fei was completely unable to hear what the Heavenly Emperor was saying, and his mind was trapped in endless torment. He was extremely muddle-headed. This was not bedevilment, but it was more serious than bedevilment. This was a form of self-sealing. From the countless planes of the world, it was constantly jumping and constantly rising. But in the end, it proved to be completely useless. All efforts seemed to have been in vain. It immediately made Long Fei lose all will to fight. Inside his sea of consciousness, Long Fei suffered greatly, as if she was flogging him, and then hit his soul time and time again. Long Fei looked at the system clearly, then at each and every page. There was no sign of excitement at all. I still can't do it. Why am I so desperate? So it turns out that without Long Batian, I'm really pitifully weak. Long Fei muttered to himself. He looked at the undead body that was continuously counting down. In any case, as long as the Celestial Emperor was here, nothing could change anything. Even if he didn't die, he couldn't resist at all. It couldn't save Yu Ru, Li Yuanba, or Li Wuxin. Thus, he simply made up his mind. He might as well accept his fate. But right at this moment, a voice suddenly appeared in Long Fei's ears. Are you resigned to your fate just like that? The sound was ethereal, untraceable. However, Long Fei, who was still in a daze, suddenly woke up. Who? Long Fei opened his mouth in shock, but he could not see anyone around him. Kid, don't you want revenge? Think of the Emperor Xian, think of Long Batian. One drove you to the point of parting from life to death, the other always treated you as a humanoid loader. Can you really bear it? The voice kept on sounding, like a bell, booming in Long Fei's ears. Instantly, Long Fei opened his eyes. There were only 2 words in his eyes. Unyielding. Yes. I can't stand it. Fuck you, Heavenly Emperor, Emperor Xian, Long Batian. And those people. Why are you controlling me? I refuse to accept this. Long Fei roared, and his consciousness instantly returned to his body. Suddenly, Long Fei saw the jade pendant in his hand that had returned. He already understood who was speaking just now. The Lord of Primordial Chaos. The Lord of Primordial Chaos. The cliff was the Lord of Primordial Chaos. Even if the voice only spoke a few words, Long Fei was already certain. And only he was able to use the jade pendant to transmit his consciousness to Long Fei. Instantly, Long Fei raised his head, and fiercely stared at the Heavenly Emperor. Have you woken up? However, so what? Trash is still trash after all. Do you think that you have the ability to turn the situation around before this Emperor's power? The Celestial Emperor said coldly. She looked at Long Fei with a cold and detached expression. Long Fei, leave quickly. Take Yuan Ba and Thoughtless away, I'll stop him, Yu said. He started to release his aura. The power of the sky spill was spreading out like crazy, and lines began to form all over his body. But just at that moment, Long Fei panicked. Yu, don't! Long Fei shouted. The power of the Celestial Emperor was simply too terrifying. He couldn't even match the strength of an Empyrean god madman. No matter how extraordinary Yu's strength was, how could she be a match for him? However, Yu's eyes were filled with determination. When he turned around, all he left behind was a wisp of a smile. The smile was very sweet. However, in Long Fei's eyes, it was blood that burned sweetly. No! Long Fei bellowed. He stood up crazily, ignoring his own injuries. He unleashed the god of heaven fanaticism once again. It was at this point that the power of the heaven-devouring divine art began to take shape. Flickering finger mountain and river, twilight in an instant. The sky-reaching realm will be sealed forever, Yu said. In these few short hours, although Yu didn't say anything, she was still immersed in fusing the power of the heavenly slaughter. All for the sake of helping Long Fei. Now he finally got what he wanted. In the distance, the expression on the Celestial Emperor's face changed. The power of Yang Tian? Unfortunately, you haven't completely fused with it yet. If the heavens had bestowed you with a throne and given you a proper name, you might have been able to contend against this emperor. But right now, I don't have the qualifications. A living female emperor? Haha, it's mine now. And it can also give rise to endless possibilities. TSK, how could trash like you possibly be able to slim down? Only this emperor possesses women like you. The heavenly emperor coldly laughed. With a flip of his hand, the aura on his body exploded forth once again. The power of a divine throne manifested as numerous streams of emperor's aura wreaked havoc on the heavens. Immediately, Yu's power came to a halt. Yang Tian's strength paused in the void, unable to spread outwards in the slightest. Puff! Under this suppression and obstruction, Yu coughed up a mouthful of blood and was turned upside down. With me here, I will absolutely not let you hurt Long Fei. Spirit of the bewitching sky, appear. Yu shook her head, allowing the force of the impact to affect her body. However, she did not retreat, gritting her teeth as she endured. In an instant, a spirit body appeared before Yu. It was the same as Yu's spirit body. But the power of Yang Tian was much stronger, forming a very tight shield. But this shield only protected Long Fei, and did not protect herself. Below, seeing this scene, Long Fei became even more crazier. God of Heaven madman, 8th blade, 9th blade. Lock on. Cut it for me. Long Fei was infuriated, and attacked crazily. He did not want his woman to stand in front of him and protect him from harm. So even if he had to risk his life, Long Fei wanted to walk in front. Swish swish. 2 streaks of blade lights appeared at almost the same time. Is it interesting to repeat the same trick? Even if my power has increased a little, so what? This emperor is standing here. Can it move this emperor? You're just an ant. The Celestial Emperor did not put him in his eyes at all. Looking at the descending saber lights, he sent out 2 palm strikes in quick succession. Boom. Boom. 2 explosions resounded. These 2 seemingly ordinary strikes directly shattered Long Fei's last hope. Inborn madness. Invalid attack. Once again, it was destroyed. That's all you have. I really don't know why the Lord of Chaos is interested in you. The Celestial Emperor disdainfully replied. His gaze shifted to Yu. The maliciousness on his face became even more intense, and was filled with lust. TSK. You want to die for Long Fei, but this emperor won't let you do as you wish. Because you are destined to be this emperor's woman. Give it to me. As the Celestial Emperor spoke, he took a big step forward and appeared right in front of Yu. It was at this moment that the spirit body in front of Yu suddenly opened its eyes. After that, it turned into an imprint filled with killing intent, shooting towards the heavenly emperor. Whiz. The patterns transformed into a billowing killing intent that pounced over. Even the heavenly emperor was shocked. Stubborn fool, Don't blame this emperor for ruthlessly destroying a flower, the celestial emperor said with a cold look in his eyes.
Boo.
All of a sudden, the celestial emperor pressed his hands down. A majestic wave of energy exploded forth. In an instant, a spirit body emitted a shrill scream from Yuru's body. At the same time, Yuru's true form began to bleed madly. In the blink of an eye, it transformed into a bloody person. No! Long Fei roared. Level 8 explosive punch, body lock technique, great killing weapon. All of his techniques began to be used in berserk fashion. However, everything was completely useless. There was no reaction at all. No. Long Batian, are you really dead? I don't believe you. Take whatever you want. As long as you make a move and save Euro, even if you want my life, I'll give it to you. Long Fei crazily roared, and ignored everything else and rushed forward. However, over and over again, he was sent flying by the Heavenly Emperor. After just a few strikes, Long Fei's entire body was also severely injured. His entire body was stained with blood, and even his appearance could not be seen clearly. Ha ha ha, this trash dares to be arrogant. A woman like her is something a trash like you can have. Long Batian. Long Batian had long ago become a legend, becoming a dead man. Even if you shout your throat out, it's useless. The Heavenly Emperor's eyes were cold as he said coldly. His words were full of disdain. However, from beginning to end, he didn't kill anyone. It was as if they were trying to humiliate Long Fei. Suddenly, the void suddenly shook. A surge of chaos energy suddenly descended. After which, a figure appeared, directly standing before the Celestial Emperor. The Celestial Emperor's expression changed slightly. Without saying a single word, he immediately retreated to a side. It seemed to be a servant. Long Fei, who was wounded all over, suddenly raised his head, and practically spat out a few words from between his teeth. The Lord of Primordial Chaos. Anger. Now, looking at the attitude of the Celestial Emperor, it combined with everything that had just happened. How could Long Fei not guess that all of this was the work of the Lord of Primal Chaos? Including the disappearance of Long Batian's power, the disappearance of the Heavenly Emperor, and his return now. Everything that happened behind the scenes was controlled by the Lord of Primal Chaos. What? You hate me? The Lord of all Fiends asked. Humph. Long Fei coldly snorted. Kid, all of this is because you're not strong enough. If your strength is strong enough, everything that has happened today will be reversed. As for everything that I have done, it is all to make you understand that if you are weak, you will die the sin of this world. As the Lord of Chaos spoke, his eyes flashed, and a beam of chaotic light flashed into existence in his hand. It landed on Yuru's body. Space-time began to change. Space-time began to change. The world began to clear up. One by one, the destructive energies dissipated without a trace, and the world returned to normal. It was just like how no war had broken out in the beginning. Other than the fact that the Sky Empire's people had not revived, nothing else could be seen. Even Yuru, Li Yuanba, and Li Wuxin had recovered. At this time, Long Fei's gaze turned. No need to doubt, everything that I have done is because of your relationship with Long Batian. As for you, since you possess the Chaos Heart Jade, I naturally have to help you. With a stretch of his hand, the jade pendant on Long Fei's body automatically appeared in the hands of the Lord of Primal Chaos. The expression in Long Fei's eyes moved slightly, but it was not a surprise. Long Fei had long guessed that the owner of the jade pendant was the Lord of Primal Chaos. However, there were still many things that were unclear. Even if it was to train him, he needed to revive the Celestial Emperor. Also, did the Lord of Primal Chaos say that it was because of Long Batian? Then, was it an enemy or a friend? For a moment, Long Fei kept on making guesses in his mind. There's no need to think any further. I can only tell you that the Bedlam Lands is a land of war, and the center of right and wrong. That year, Long Batian had stirred up the wind and rain, but was unable to suppress the heavens. In the end, it led to the land of Primal Chaos becoming a world of exile. However, That does not mean that the unknown land is truly not worth what you think it is. As the Lord of Primal Chaos spoke, he gave Long Fei a deep glance. This reputed one has known of your existence since you appeared in this unknown place. I've given you a lot of chances, but you've disappointed me. As the Lord of Chaos spoke, his eyes shifted. Originally, the god of Boundary Qualification Station would need another 2 months. But now, it's already too late. Half a month. Long Fei, you still have half a month. In half a month, the god of Boundary Qualification Station will be held in the Primal Chaos Mountain. At that time, the Celestial Emperor will also participate. The Lord of Primal Chaos's eyes glimmered as if he had deliberately pointed out the Heavenly Emperor's name, trying to agitate Long Fei. In that instant, Long Fei looked at the Celestial Emperor. His killing intent exploded out once more. This sentence seemed to be purposely bringing up Long Fei, just to tell Long Fei that he had a grudge with the Sky Emperor. At that time, it would be the time to kill the Sky Emperor. Behind the Lord of Chaos, the Celestial Emperor's face was ashen. But right after, he looked at Long Fei with disdain. Extremely disdainful. In just half a month, he absolutely did not believe that Long Fei would possess the capital to threaten him. I want to know, what exactly is the relationship between you and Long Batian? Long Fei asked. This was what he truly cared about in his heart. Since the Lord of Primal Chaos could easily eliminate Long Batian's power, then what was his position? The main point was that everything the Lord of Chaos had said was not as simple as helping him. Without any relatives, even the members of the family could betray others because of their own interests, much less a bridge formed from a jade pendant. Long Fei definitely could not believe it. Given the height of the Lord of the Chaos, a jade pendant would be enough to protect him. This question is not something the current you can know. If you can get the God of Boundary, I can tell you everything you want to know. But right now, you don't have the qualifications. The Lord of Chaos said. Long Fei was startled, both his fists becoming tighter. He didn't have the qualifications. It was a word that was as light as a feather. This made Long Fei exceptionally angry in his heart. However, although he was angry, Long Fei had to admit that the Lord of Primal Chaos had this kind of confidence when he said this. In front of him, the methods that he possessed were truly unbearable to look at. Alright, if that's the case, then let's wait for half a month. In half a month, I will use my own methods and find out everything I want to know. Long Fei said calmly. Ha ha ha, boy, are you joking? Half a month, what do you think you can do? In half a month's time, you want to break through the horizon and seize the qualifications? Who gave you this confidence? The Lord of the Chaos, the Celestial Emperor said impatiently before he could even open his mouth. Old thing, live well. This time, in half a month, even without Long Batian, I can take your pathetic life. Long Fei said fiercely. At the same time, he took a deep breath. I must level up in half a month. I must do my best to improve myself in all aspect. Long Fei gritted his teeth as he spoke in his heart, bringing Yu Ru, Li Yuanba and the others, who had already awakened, behind him. Fine. Then I'll wait half a month for you. At that time, I'll see how an ant like you can crawl under my feet. The Celestial Emperor said. From beginning to end, the Lord of Primal Chaos never spoke as he smiled lightly at Long Fei. Oh right. There's still one more piece of news that I need to tell you. If you can gain the qualifications to stand at the God of Boundary, then you will be closer to the Emperor Xian. Because the Emperor Xian is the #1 person in the series of divinities qualifications. Wait until the outbreak of the Battle of God of Boundary, then you will have the qualification to meet the Emperor Xian. The Lord of Chaos narrowed his eyes and said. As for Long Fei, the moment he heard the news, he immediately raised his head. Emperor Xian. How could Long Fei not care about this name that had been running throughout his entire life? This was the biggest goal of his life. Regardless of whether it was Long Batian or the power behind the system, Long Fei was only afraid and unwilling. But to the Emperor Xian, it was an undisguised killing intent. Now, they were finally going to meet. Damn it, it's done. Even if it's for the Emperor Xian, I must obtain the qualifications to the God of Boundary. Long Fei steeled his heart and looked towards the Lord of Primal Chaos. The Lord of Chaos still had that faint smile on his face. However, this smile always made Long Fei uneasy. As for the Lord of all fiends, we have to be wary of them as well. He can believe what he says, but not everything. Long Fei thought as he slowly withdrew his gaze. As for the Lord of all fiends and the Celestial Emperor, they had vanished as well. What happened to Boss just now? What's going on with us? Li Yuanba rubbed his bald head, a little confused. Yeah, Boss, who was that old man just now? He has such a strong aura on his body. Li Wuxin looked at Long Fei and said, "It's nothing, but I'm going to make all of you improve." Long Fei did not say much. These were things that he should have taken on himself. He didn't want his brother to worry too much about him. Yuan Ba, hurry up and refine the berserk power, heart of battle, and blood that you just received. It should be enough to allow you to take another step further, Long Fei said. Then, he looked at Li Wuxin. Wait, I will open up a secret world, and you follow me inside. When we return, I'll let you take back everything that belongs to you. With that, the power in Long Fei's hand moved, and a door of nothingness descended with a loud bang. A black mist filled the air. A black mist filled the air. As for the ground, endless purgatory chi emanated from it. The prison of extermination. This was the reward from the ancient path. If not for the Sky Empire pressing on them, Long Fei would have already gone in to explore. Now that everything had been resolved, Long Fei finally had the power to understand. Half a month, I only have half a month left. The only thing I can do is very likely to level up. Long Fei's eyes were firm. The stronger the enemy, the more excited Long Fei became. After being broken by the Lord of Chaos, he had fully recovered. If you don't accept it, then let's do it. As before, there was only one central point in the face of all enemies. Do it. Even if it was only half a month, Long Fei still wanted to give it his all to obtain victory in the end. More importantly, this could be a super quest. Did you get promoted 3 levels consecutively? Currently, he was at the 5th layer of the ancient but able level. Moreover, he would soon be able to level up. At that time, if he completed the mission, there was a high chance that he would be able to leap into the Great Perfection realm. At that time, even if it was the Celestial Emperor, it wouldn't count as much. Moreover, after the qualification battles, was the god of boundary battle. At that time, when he would face the Emperor Xian head-on, Long Fei would not give up. Therefore, the only thing he could do now was to continuously level up, accumulate all possible conditions, and improve himself. Only then would he have the qualifications to fight the Emperor Xian head-on. At this time, Yu Ru and Li Yuanba, as well as Li Wuxin, were all looking at Long Fei with astonished expressions. Li Yuanba was still all right. He had long seen Long Fei's devilish tricks. In his eyes, Long Fei was the spokesperson for all possibilities. As long as it was Long Fei's doing, no matter how inconceivable it was, he wouldn't find it strange. Boss, could this be the secret world you were talking about? What a terrifying aura, and I feel like there's something I want inside. Li Wuxin said excitedly, but suddenly, he covered his chest as if he was in extreme discomfort. What's wrong? Long Fei's eyes changed as he asked. I don't know either. I just feel a pain in my heart all of a sudden, as if there's a call inside. Li Wuxin asked. Long Fei was slightly focused. He did not speak. There was no doubt that Li Wuxin was the successor of the Emperor of Extermination. As for the Prison of Annihilation, just by hearing the name, one could tell that there was a connection between the two. However, the Emperor of Destruction's inheritance power had erupted from Li Wuyu's body just now, so why was it that Li Wuxin was attracted to it? He didn't understand. Hence, Long Fei stopped his thoughts. In any case, he had already decided to wait until he returned from the secret world before letting them improve themselves. Boss, you two can go inside secret world. I will guard you two with my sister-in-law. Li Yuanba suddenly said with a sneer on his face, as if he had thought of something. Long Fei nodded. This is good as well. There's no need for protectors. The main focus has already shifted to the qualification battles. Moreover, the Celestial Emperor and the Lord of Chaos have already left, so no one will pay any attention to us. During this period of time, you should first prepare the berserk energy in your hands. I really look forward to how berserk you will become the next time I see you. Long Fei said. Don't worry, boss. When have we ever let you down? Right, I can feel that my other brothers have already left that place. I'm afraid they have already come looking for you, and it shouldn't be long before they return. When the time comes, we will follow. It was the same, overturning this unknown land. Ha ha ha. Li Yuanba laughed until his tears flowed, as if he was reminiscing about his past feelings. Good, when the time comes, we brothers will overturn this world. Long Fei was also provoked. But he still said it plainly. Because now was not the time to reminisce about the past. Following that, Long Fei turned around and looked at Yu Ru. Sorry, I won't let you stand in front of me again. As long as I don't die, I won't let anyone hurt you again, because I'm your man. Long Fei said in a serious tone. Yes. En. Yu Ru replied softly. However, her face was filled with endless tenderness. There seemed to be more to it than words, but it just seemed to turn into En, and it sounded better without a sound. After finishing everything, Long Fei no longer hesitated. With a flash, he entered the endless purgatory with Li Wuxin. When the two of them completely disappeared, the door also disappeared. Yuan Ba, I'll create a void for you and you can go inside to refine that berserk battle power. Yu Ru said. Don't worry, sister-in-law. I can feel that this power is just perfect for me. When the boss comes out, he'll definitely be shocked. Li Yuanba rubbed his bald head and said honestly. Yu Ru smiled and nodded her head. Within the forbidden prison. The moment Long Fei and Li Wuxin arrived, they felt a boundless intent of extinction. It was as if this world had an instinctive killing intent for outsiders. Exclusive. Roar. Suddenly, a furious roar could be heard, followed by countless angry roars. Ta 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 ta. The sound of footsteps could be heard. The sky and the earth were covered in smoke and dust, and the entire space had turned into a sea of wild beasts. That's right, a crazy demon beast. No way, boss. How much is this? Li Wuxin's eyes widened as she swallowed a mouthful of saliva with great difficulty. The scene before him caused his heart to tremble. Too many. It was so dense that it covered the entire horizon. Birds, beasts, giant boulders, everything was under attack. The more the better. Take care of yourself and leave it to me. But Long Fei was different. To him, the endless number of demon beasts in front of him was not a disaster, but a blessing. That's right, this is simply a good place to level. Every single demon beast is at the great circle of perfection. Even if each of them only have a few tens of thousands of experience points, but it's enough to make me crazy. F***CK, God's Pavilion, how many Realm Lords are there now? Release them all for me. Long Fei's eyes shone brightly as he said crazily. Master was originally about to complete, but not long ago, an extremely powerful force exploded and surged into the profound sky continent, and was absorbed by the people of the God's Pavilion. But it won't be long before they wake up. I have a feeling I personally made a terrifying legion. God's Pavilion said, extremely excited. Hearing that, Long Fei was startled. A powerful force. Could it be Long Batian? The more he thought about it, the more likely it seemed. Long Batian, I never thought that you were the one who was hiding the deepest of the best. As Long Fei thought this, his face revealed a cold smile. Long Batian had designs on him from the beginning to end. How could Long Fei thank him? Although all of his reserves had been upgraded because of Long Batian, Long Fei would not be grateful to him for a single cent. But right now, Long Fei was not in the mood to care about all these. Since the current master of the God's Pavilion is still evolving, he could only rely on himself in this battle. Infinite leveling mode officially opened. The wild slaughter was filled with endless blood. The wild slaughter was filled with endless blood. Long Fei had broken through the center of the beast and stood alone, no matter how many came at him. One word. Just kill. There was no mercy, no pause. Since it's a secret world, then it's an instance dungeon. The only reason the instance dungeon existed was to level up. Puff puff puff. Rumble rumble rumble. With such a great killing weapon in hand, Long Fei basically needed to cut it all in one go. Even if it was just a casual and wild slash, it was the same. One slash, one kill. This was because these existences did not have intelligence at all. They were like puppets instilled with commands by the system, and were people who had annihilated everyone who entered. Unfortunately, they were facing Long Fei. Ha ha ha, great. If this continues, I'll be able to level up soon. Long Fei looked at the wild beast in front of him, as if he could not kill any of it. A single slash had earned him over 100,000 experience points. In just a few hours' time, his experience points had soared by several 100 million. He was just a few tens of millions of experience points away from leveling up. Could not be bothered to think about it in the end and decided to just turn into a demon slayer, slaughtering non-stop. His body was also dyed with demon blood, and his original appearance could no longer be seen. A quarter of an hour later, ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level, Ancient Almighty level 6. Experience, 20,000,000,000,000,000. He had leveled up. But it also made Long Fei feel awkward. With 40 billion experience points in leveling up, Long Fei felt a little dizzy. A long string of zeros made the killing intent in Long Fei's heart rise up all over the place. Mother asterisk 40 billion. System, do you dislike me leveling up too quickly? Long Fei secretly cursed in his heart. In the next moment, Long Fei's gaze once again looked in front of him. The heaviness turned into anticipation, desire, and a towering killing intent. Continue. Long Fei's heart was in turmoil. After leveling up, all his power had returned to its peak, causing him to be able to easily kill them all. However, the experience gained was also much lesser. It was directly halved. It went from hundreds of thousands to tens of thousands. But Long Fei did not care. In Secret World, there was not much, just that there were many demon beasts. Long Fei had enough patience. At this time, what Long Fei did not know was that, in the distant unknown, 7 figures were walking side by side, their eyes filled with anticipation. Sister-in-law, can you sense our boss position? We can't keep finding him like this. A figure gently floated in the air. He was clad in white, and his appearance was as ethereal as the wind. No, I say, Tianxue, can you get down? Can you see as long as you stand up high? A rough voice called out. It was Chen Tianfei. Fatty, cut the crap. Was it just a skin itch in the center of the universe? In the air, God, Water King Kong Lin Yusheng said. Hehe, don't say it, it really is itchy. I wonder what level of existence boss is facing right now. Chen Tianfei said. Ha ha ha, even I can't wait to find my boss and have a big fight with him. The dragon said, pleased. It wasn't just him, the rest of the people were the same. They had been in the center of the universe for too long, transforming into Heaven Pillar. Now that he had awoken, naturally, he was in a good mood. Most importantly, they couldn't wait to find Long Fei and the heroic men who fought together with him back then. Therefore, all of them were full of excitement. Aoya looked at them and said indifferently, I also don't know where Long Fei is. However, along the way, in the center of the unknown land, there was a surging tide of people. I heard that they wanted to start a qualification battle. I have a feeling that Long Fei will definitely appear there. So, we'll go there and wait. Oya analyzed, her face full of longing. Sister-in-law is right. Lin Yusheng said. If that's the case, we can go there directly. We can also gather some information for our boss. The celestial spirit said. The remaining people all nodded. In another area, in the space above the Yang Mountain, Li Yuanba had already fallen into madness. The power of Berserk, the heart of Berserk, and the blood of Berserk refined the 3 types of Berserk Qi at once. At this moment, 3 types of power were wreaking havoc in his body, causing Li Yuanba to be originally more than 2 meters tall. Break the routine. It wasn't any divine ability or magical technique. The growth that goes against the laws of nature. In the blink of an eye, he was 3 meters tall. 20 feet. 10 meters. In just a few breaths of time, Li Yuanba instantly became 10 meters tall. Not only that, even his aura had more than doubled in intensity. Ah! It hurts. However, this change was extremely painful. Even if Li Yuanba's divine power was overflowing, fusing with this power was something that his body could bear. At this moment, he could only cry out instinctively. Yuanba, you have to persevere. Yuro shouted. Ah, it hurts. It really hurts. Li Yuanba continued to shout. Its huge body collapsed with a loud bang, rolling non-stop on the ground. Yuanba, you have to hold on. Don't forget, Long Fei is still waiting for us. Yuru said. She knew how important Long Fei was to her, and the reason she had said those words to provoke him. Hearing that, Li Yuanba's body shook violently, and he did not struggle anymore. Humph! With a stuffy groan, Li Yuanba's eyes started to turn red. Then, his bones creaked. His body, which was already 10 meters long, continued to grow. Every inch longer he grew, the aura on Li Yuanba's body became even more violent and violent. However, Li Yuanba did not speak a word the entire time. It was as if there was some will that was above the pain. This will was Long Fei. No matter how painful, how torturous, I must endure it. The boss is still waiting for me and the 7 King Kongs is still waiting for me. I definitely cannot let them down. Li Yuanba thought, his eyes became firmer, and he bitterly persevered. Finally, after a few breaths of time, a loud explosion resounded. Boom! Boom. The energy was extremely violent, enveloping the entire space. Boom. In the end, he directly broke through. Li Yuanba's body also appeared in front of his eyes. From his height of nearly 15 meters, Li Yuanba stood there proudly, as if he were a giant that did not control the world. Ha ha ha, elder sister-in-law, I succeeded. I feel that the current me can tear the sky apart with a single hand. Li Yuanba laughed loudly. Very good, if that's the case, during the final qualification battles, we can also help Long Fei. Yuru's eyes were filled with gratification as she hurriedly said. Haha, don't worry, sister-in-law. When the time comes, I will kill whoever stands in front of me with a single slap. He'll definitely be able to wipe out all the obstacles for boss. Li Yuanba said frantically. And it was also at this time, in the secret world of the Extinction Realm. Long Fei's eyes were already completely red from the killing. Come on, this time, I will purge the world. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. In these 3 days, Long Fei was completely immersed in crazily leveling the entire time, and had finally cleared away all the demon beast in the entire secret world. As for Long Fei, he collapsed onto the ground in exhaustion. 3 days and 3 nights. Even Iron Men would be tired from constant slaughter. If not for the fact that Long Fei had pills that could continuously replenish his holy source value, he would never have been able to do this. After 3 days and 3 nights of slaughter, how much had he killed? Long Fei himself was not clear. However, just the space of the slaughter weapon itself had already exploded several hundred times. Just this point alone was enough to imagine how many demon beasts there were. And Long Fei's experience was now finally approaching its peak. With 40 billion experience, he had accumulated to the peak. He was just short of 300 million and he would be able to break through. Not enough. If only there was another boss. Long Fei thought as he looked at the corpses that littered the ground. At this time, Li Wuxin also came to Long Fei's side with a tired expression. Boss, sometimes I really wonder, are you still human? Li Wuxin stared at Long Fei in shock. Before, he only felt that Long Fei was extremely powerful, and had created miracles time and time again. Seeing Long Fei's performance this time, she was even more flabbergasted. Long Fei's strength had completely exceeded his expectations. Too strong. It was beyond the capability of an ordinary person. Before today, if someone said that a person could kill tens of thousands of demon beasts at the perfection stage within 3 days, then that person must have died. He must have thought he was dreaming. But now, he had to believe it. But Long Fei shook his head. Ari, it's still too little. If only there were more, it would be great. Long Fei said regretfully. This was truly a pity. A secret world only leveled up by 1 level. There was still a gap between him and Long Fei's initial expectations. However, in the next moment, Long Fei was relieved. After all, he was now at the cultivation level of an ancient supreme elder. His level was also getting closer and closer to the peak. Especially after Long Baishan's power disappeared, Long Fei was able to feel that the system had become even more difficult. It was impossible for him to break through so easily. Boss, I have something in my heart that I don't know whether or not I should say. Li Wuxin paused for a moment before speaking. If you have anything to say, just say it. We are brothers. Long Fei said, and did not mind in the slightest. You're really a freak, Li Wuxin said with a serious face. Long Fei was startled. He grinned. He did not say much. This was what a brother was. Li Wuxin also let out a hearty laugh, as if he had just survived a calamity. It was at this moment. The infernal realm of destruction suddenly began to shake. The earth began to sink down, and a sense of decay and destruction that had existed countless years ago exploded forth. Long Fei and Li Wuxin's faces changed. This was especially so for Li Wuxin. It was as if she was being pulled by something. Her entire body was already holding onto her chest in pain as she looked at the scene in front of her with a panicked expression. And Long Fei was the same as well. The moment the aura changed, Long Fei already felt it. Their first reaction was that the boss was about to appear. But seeing Li Wuxin's reaction, this guess was immediately rejected by Long Fei. Unintentional. Long Fei asked urgently. Li Wuxin's performance was definitely abnormal. His entire face was contorted. If he wasn't in extreme pain, he would never have made such an expression. Boss, my chest hurts like my heart is going to jump out. Li Wuxin said in pain. As he spoke, he tore off his clothes, revealing his chest. But just at that moment, Long Fei's eyes suddenly changed. He finally understood why Li Wuxin wanted to call him by that name. Unintentional. It was precisely because Li Wuxin didn't have a heart. In fact, the location of the heart in his chest was a hole. F***ck, could it be that inside this thing is Li Wuxin's heart? Long Fei thought as his brows tightened. Ah, boss, save me. Li Wuxin cried out in pain as his entire body was curled up into a ball. From the looks of it, he was suffering greatly. Long Fei's eyes gradually changed as he looked towards the location of the strange aura that exploded, and then looked at Li Wuxin. He made a decision in an instant. Come, I'll take you in. Long Fei said. Since Li Wuxin had already acknowledged him as her boss, that was his brother. Seeing his brother in such pain, Long Fei couldn't just stand by and watch. Since it had something to do with the weirdness of this place of destruction, he would tear apart the existence behind this aura. Who cares what kind of conspiracy he was hiding? What secrets were involved? Just take it head on. Instantly, Long Fei carried Li Wuxin and walked forward step by step. Su su su. Whoosh. Whoosh. The wind whistled coldly as it blew towards his face. The rustling wind was mixed with an aura of death, as though there were blades attacking Long Fei's body. However, this level of power was basically unable to cause any harm to Long Fei. 1 step, 2 steps in the blink of an eye, Long Fei got closer and closer to the collapsed ground. And the berserking power here had already made Long Fei feel waves of pressure. On the other side of the cold wind, Long Fei felt hostility growing in his heart. An endless sense of annihilation erupted from the depths of the unknown, causing Long Fei to feel restless. F***ck. What the hell is this? Is it really a boss? Long Fei thought in his heart, and a trace of excitement faintly appeared again. Boss, I feel it. It's so familiar, as if it's connected to my blood vein. Li Wuxin said with excitement written all over his face. It was as if he was looking forward to it. Moreover, in his expression, the pain was becoming less and less. The anticipation had already overshadowed the pain. Can you feel what this is about? Long Fei asked. I don't know, boss. However, I could feel that this power was extremely important to me. It seemed to have something to do with my life. My mother once told me that one day, when I return to my full self, I will become an unparalleled genius. As Li Wuxin spoke, he actually began walking forward. Long Fei did not stop him. There was no reason to stop it either. Originally, he thought that the destruction secret world would be of no use to Li Wuxin, but now, it seemed that it was more than just useful. Furthermore, it was highly possible that an incredible figure had appeared. At the same time, Li Wuxin walked to the edge of the arena. His entire body came to a halt. Dong, dong, dong. Suddenly, a series of thumping sounds appeared. Soon after, a bright red heart appeared from below, surrounded by a destructive aura. At this time, Long Fei also sucked in a breath of cold air. Sure enough. It was a heart. Just the thought of a heart that had been nourished by an aura of annihilation for an unknown period of time was enough to make one feel horrified. Boss, this is my heart. Boss, this is my heart. No wonder my mother said I wanted to find my complete self. No wonder my name is Li Wuxin. So, my heart is here. A heart that was filled with boundless destructive energy was floating in the air. A heart that was filled with boundless destructive energy was floating in the air. Li Wuxin watched in a daze as he stretched out his hands. Whiz. Suddenly, the heart seemed to have gained intelligence, and floated towards Li Wuxin. Goo. When the heart was less than half a foot away from Li Wuxin, the earth began to rumble. Then, a furious roar burst out. At the same time, a dazzling golden light appeared. Long Fei, who was behind him, instantly lost his composure. This golden light was too freaking familiar. It was the light of the boss that he had been waiting for. Ha ha ha, as expected. How could such an important thing be unguarded? Boss, it really is a boss. Thoughtless, you go and fuse with the heart first. Leave this thing to me. Long Fei immediately rushed forward. He had waited far too long for this moment. Boss. As long as it was a boss, they could level up. To the current Long Fei, there was nothing more alluring than leveling up. Therefore, the appearance of the boss was a blessing to Long Fei. Come on, no matter how strong you are, I will kill you today. Long Fei held the big killing weapon in his hand and rushed in recklessly. Roar. Right at this time, the aura exploded completely, and immediately after, an unheard-of gigantic beast appeared in front of him. He said it was because he had never heard of it before. This was because the beast's entire body seemed to be made of the power of annihilation, as if an aura of annihilation was gathering within it. It was not like the demon beast at all, where there was flesh and blood. Besides, its facial features were also extremely strange. Other than an eye, there was nothing else. However, although this surprised Long Fei, it was not enough for him to be concerned about. What Long Fei really cared about was the various information on the boss. Name, Eyes of Extinction Health, 30 billion damage, 10 million. Special skill, Eyes of Extinguishment. Upon being hit, there is a 50% chance of triggering the mysteries of extermination. Ignore levels, half absolute. This was the boss' entire stats. When Long Fei saw the last skill, he could no longer stay calm. Ultimate skill. Although there was only a 50% chance of that happening, it was still a sure kill tactic. Haha, it's been a long time since someone has used such a killing technique. It's a good thing that you've accumulated so much striking value this time. Emperor Xian, let's see how you're going to die this time. Bring it on. Immobilize. Long Fei shouted and took the initiative to attack. However, for the current stage of the boss technique, it was a bit low-leveled. In just a single exchange, Long Fei had no time to use any more skills before the boss woke up. You're just an ant. How dare you steal the heart of my lord? Damn it. The Eye of Destruction opened its mouth, and an aura of extermination erupted from it. Ruumbel. An aura filled with destructive power flooded the ground in a single breath. Even the lurse was turned into dust and flew into the sky. Long Fei's face changed. He did not dare hesitate. Immortal body, open. Instantly, Long Fei activated his immortal body. He was an existence that would always keep his life. As long as he activated the immortal body, with strong means, Long Fei would not be in any danger of death. In addition, the second stage absolute body would be able to form the rebound force. It was a pity that this type of power was only used physically, but the boss in front of him was using pure energy. Immortal body? There is no immortal power in this world that does not exist. Even Master, who had destroyed the world, who had dominated the universe, had perished in the end. How can an undying power exist in this world? You, a mere ant, dare to say you're not dead? Extinction Eyes opened his mouth and waited for Long Fei with his eyes. The Eye of Destruction's expression was ferocious, full of disdain. Every word was filled with contempt for Long Fei. Long Fei was stunned. And then, he was enraged. F***ck. To think that a boss would look down on me. I can't bear it. If I don't kill you today, then how can I face those bosses that died under my hands? As he spoke, a great killing weapon appeared in his hand. God of Heaven fanatics, lock on, Long Fei said coldly. A boss of this level. Long Fei originally did not want to use the Heavenly God fanatic. It was only 30 billion HP, even without using the God of Heaven fanaticism. Within the time limit of the Immortal's body, Long Fei was confident that he would be able to exhaust the boss to death. After all, he had leveled up and his damage prowess had increased explosively. Furthermore, all of his methods had been improved by Long Baishan's strength, so his injuries were much more severe than they were in the past. Compared to before, it had increased by more than 1 grade. But now, Long Fei changed his mind. When a lion fought a rabbit, it would use its full strength. Even if a dragon bit an ant, it would still have to use its destructive power. Boo! The great killing weapon turned into a giant blade. It emitted a light over 10,000 feet long as it fell from the sky. Swish! The blade flashed, and the Eyes of Destruction suddenly opened one eye, watching the descending blade without dodging at all. A small reptile actually wanted to hurt me with this kind of power. It's really a pipe dream. The Eye of Destruction said, completely dismissive. Seeing this scene, Long Fei was also stunned. Then, a sneer flashed across his eyes. As far as he was concerned, the Eyes of Destruction was courting death. The strength of the God of Heaven fanaticism was enough to even kill people on the level of Tian Lu Hu and Li Wu Bei. As for the boss in front of them, its aura couldn't compare to theirs. It was at this moment that the heavenly god maniac descended with a loud bang. KCHA. Asterisk boom. Asterisk with 1 slash, a huge gash appeared on the body of the Eye of Destruction. Its enormous body was immediately blasted away. One after another, waves of destructive energies were sent out. Of course, the demon beast's blood was also endless, and it flew around in the air like a rain of blood. And this slash had 1 billion HP, so it was a given. Roar. Damn it, damn it. Stinking reptile, how dare you hurt me? I'll swallow you. The Eye of Destruction let out a furious roar as it stood up once more. It opened its single eye and a beam of light shot out from it. Long Fei stared coldly, similarly without moving an inch. At the same time, Long Fei also felt an incomparable pressure from the light that shot out from the Eye of Destruction. It was as if a supreme pressure was about to pierce through him. They couldn't refuse. There was no way to dodge it. But Long Fei was currently undead, and did not care at all. Fart. In the blink of an eye, this ray of light broke through the horizon and became more solid, transforming into a spear that pierced Long Fei's chest. Puff. Long Fei's body was immediately nailed to the ground, as though it was on fire, unable to move at all. How about it? An ant still wants to hurt me? Just wait for your death to happen. If you don't die, then let's see how you don't die this time. Extinction Eye stared at Long Fei with one eye, extremely arrogant. However, In the next moment, the eyes of destruction was stunned. Because Long Fei was quietly refining the power that he had shot out, in the end, he stood back on the ground, with an indifferent look in his eyes, and said, "Open your dog eyes and see how I can't die." "Oh right, you are a one-eyed monster, you might not be able to see it clearly. Then let me tell you again, I won't die. But as for you, you're just a boss, let's see how I'll kill you." If you don't die, you won't die. If you don't die, you won't die. No matter how powerful the attack was, it would not be able to break the system's iron law. Since he was an undying body, it meant that he wouldn't be killed within the allotted time. But of course, not dying did not mean that he would not be injured. It was Long Fei, the one who was hit by that beam of light just now. His entire body was in a state of shock. If not for the critical moment when the Sky Spill Emperor system activated, he would have been able to absorb the power that came from the Eye of Destruction. This way, Long Fei wouldn't have been able to struggle free so quickly. No, impossible. Even the outer space powerhouse had been killed by the destructive power. How could you, a mere ant, be able to struggle free? Who are you? Who exactly are you? The destructive Eye looked at Long Fei in disbelief. He simply could not believe what he saw. This power might not be his innate strength, but it was still shot out from his eyes. It was extremely powerful. But not only was Long Fei fine. On the contrary, it absorbed this strand of energy. This kind of change was difficult for him to accept. "Who am I? I am your ancestor." Long Fei roared angrily as he commanded the clear sky vine to immediately heal, then instantly slashed out the heavenly god fanatic. Boop! This slash was even more violent, dealing 2 billion damage. In an instant, it left a huge wound on Extinction Eye's body. Hualala. Boss's blood didn't need any money to drop. The entire earth was dyed red. However, what made people feel strange was that the moment the drop of blood fell, it directly turned into streams of pure blood aura that crazily rushed into the vicinity of Li Wuxin, before forming a vast ocean of blood aura that wrapped around Li Wuxin. Stay. As for Li Wuxin, he was already fusing with his heart. A heart had already entered his chest. "No. Mine, that's mine. Put it down. Die." Eyes of Destruction had also noticed this scene. He immediately went berserk, directly abandoning Long Fei and rushing towards Li Wuxin. But Long Fei had already been prepared for a long time. How could he let him leave? God of Heaven Berserk, third slash, lock on, rumble rumble rumble. The 4 billion damage dealt was dealt, causing the HP of the Eyes of Extinction to plummet by leaps and bounds. Roar. Damn it, you ant, go to hell. Instantly, the Eye of Destruction erupted with rage, and it turned to attack Long Fei again. God of Heaven Berserk, behead. Long Fei's gaze was cold as he slashed out with his fourth blade. The explosion of 8 billion HP immediately reduced the HP of the Eyes of Destruction to less than half. In that instant, the Eye of Destruction fell to the ground. His aura became much weaker, and his blood converged into a sea of blood on the ground. At this time, Long Fei also stepped forward. Yell. Look at how amazing you are. Did you see it clearly this time? This is how Laozi will not die. However, you will not have this chance. Saying that, Long Fei's gaze turned cold. The great killing weapon appeared once again. The sixth blade came crashing down. The moment the blade beam landed, a miserable scream came out, and the entire secret world began to shake violently, on the verge of collapse. Long Fei's heart tensed. Without saying a word, he made his decision in an instant, directly enveloping Li Wuxin's figure, and leaving Secret World. Rumble rumble rumble. Rumble rumble rumble. Just as Long Fei stepped out of the prison of annihilation, the entire Secret World collapsed with a loud bang and no longer existed. That was close. I never thought that the Eye of Destruction would actually affect the entire Secret World. Fortunately, I didn't stay too long. Long Fei thought and placed Li Wuxin properly. Now that he was still in his fusion state, Long Fei did not interfere further. At the same time, the system chimed in. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing the Eyes of Extinction. You have obtained 18 million experience points, 180,000 holy source points, and 1 striking value point. Ding! Congratulations player for obtaining the Eyes of Extinction. Ding! Congratulations to player on obtaining Eyes of Extinction. Do you wish to learn it? The system prompted. Cultivate. Long Fei made his choice without hesitation. On this point, there was no hesitation. Half-step ultimate skill. According to the probability, one of the 2 attacks would explode with a fatal strike. This kind of skill wasn't cultivated. Impossible. Ding! Cultivated successfully. Immediately afterwards, a new skill appeared in the skill bar. However, this skill was grey. Long Fei was startled. He was completely stupefied. It was just like the power bestowed by the heavens. It was simply a gimmick. One could only watch and not use it. Damn, it can't be. System, are you and the others messing with me? A skill that can't be used, are you telling me to keep my old age? Long Fei scolded. He had gone through so much trouble to kill the boss and yet, he still couldn't use the skill. It was like a hungry wolf seeing a delicacy on a painting. The temptation was boundless, but it was useless. Unfortunately, the system did not give Long Fei any response. Long Fei, who was still complaining, had no choice but to look at the description. Skill, Eyes of Extinction. Attribute, extinguished, 50% killed. You need to fuse with the Eyes of Destruction in order to use it. Special description, due to the player's current skill level, the cooldown time for this skill is 1 month. Upgrade can reduce the cooldown time. After reading up to here, Long Fei's expression finally eased up a little. Although the conditions were extremely harsh, it was fine as long as they were not unusable. In addition, it was a skill that could be upgraded. This made it easier for Long Fei to accept. Ding! Detected Extinction Eye. Do you wish to fuse it with the player? The system said again. Fuse. Long Fei immediately said. Swish. Immediately, a ray of light rushed into Long Fei's sea of consciousness. Shortly after, a heart-piercing pain appeared on his forehead. It was as if something was about to burst out of his forehead. I'm getting closer. I've opened the heaven's eyes. Laozi also has the eyes of the heavens, Erlangshan. When Long Fei thought about the scatter seeds which become solidars he had previously cultivated in, and Erlangshan who he had previously summoned, his heart immediately surged with emotions. At that time, the level of the scatter seeds which become solidars was too low, and all it summoned was a clone. However, Long Fei knew that he was the most famous war god in the 3 realms. Therefore, when Long Fei felt that his eyes were about to shoot out his 3rd eye, he immediately became restless. No, no. The appearance of this 3rd eye is such AF * king bad influence on our image. What if my wives don't like it? Long Fei was worried about his personal gains and losses, but there was nothing he could do now. Since he had already chosen to fuse them, there was no way to reverse the situation. Ding! Successfully fused. At this moment, the system's voice rang out. Long Fei immediately used a technique, transforming into a mirror, carefully looking at it. When he saw the 3rd eye on his forehead, he sighed. However, at this moment, the eye disappeared. What was going on? Didn't you already succeed in the fusion? Long Fei was startled, and immediately called out in his heart. Immediately, his eyes appeared again. In the next moment, the entire world resounded with Long Fei's wild laughter. Haha, awesome, too awesome. Do as I wish. This way, we don't have to be afraid of scaring the wives when they do bad things. Fusing the Eyes of Destruction would result in a fatal blow. Fusing the Eyes of Destruction would result in a fatal blow. Long Fei was ecstatic. This was yet another trump card. The level limit of a heavenly god maniac was quite high. Even though it could instantly kill anything below the super perfection stage, it was still enough to deal with the experts of the great perfection stage. However, the enemies they were facing were no longer limited to this level. This was no longer something that a heavenly god maniac could handle. In front of that kind of power, his own methods were too weak. Right now, This skill disregarded levels and came at the right time. Although there were similarly harsh restrictions, Long Fei was already extremely grateful to the system in his heart. Long Fei thought, then suddenly remembered that he could still use the berserk energy this time around. It's not tiring to accumulate striking value anyway. It's just a boss, so we'll just directly drop it. System, activate berserk. Long Fei said. Ding, congratulations player for obtaining special reward of double the boss experience. Ding, congratulations to player for obtaining 18 million points. After this, there was no other sound. Long Fei was startled, and an impulse to curse emerged in his heart. As expected, there was a time limit for luck, and the system would not always be a good person. He had used a skill before, but now he was stingy and only gave double the EXP, but forget it. With my experience doubled, I can at least level up now. Long Fei focused his eyes. Full of anticipation, he was missing several 100 million experience points to level up with a single boss. Afterwards, when the eyes of extinction dropped, he would only need a few tens of millions more to level up. Now that he had doubled the EXP bar, the EXP he had gained was naturally filled up in an instant. Ding! Congratulations player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level, Ancient Energy level 7. Upgrade experience, 120000005000000000. As expected, the leveling up notification rang out once again. Long Fei had already gotten used to it. That long string of zeros was completely unbearable to look at. At that moment, the system's voice rang out once again. Something that completely exceeded Long Fei's expectations. Ding! Congratulations player Long Fei has leveled up 2 levels consecutively. You have received a special reward from the system and have received a great reward from the system. The system's voice resounded once again. Hearing that, Long Fei's face immediately lit up. System Carnival? Could it be that they were going to celebrate the new year? For some unfathomable reason, when Long Fei thought about the life before he teleported, he couldn't help but yearn for it. From the time he had returned to the Earth in Secret World, he knew that the Earth was no longer the same as it was before. He thought of that little girl again. Fuck, there will be a day when I break through the horizon, I must return to Earth. Long Fei thought. This was already a long-cherished wish. With the thought of returning home in glory, Long Fei felt that it was necessary to let the old people on Earth know how awesome this was. With a quick thought, Long Fei retracted his consciousness. The system's grand carnival. This was the first time in history. Unable to wait any longer, Long Fei directly immersed himself into the system. Immediately, he laughed out loud. The system's carnival was actually decorated as if it was New Year. It was full of joy. Lucky draw, lucky exchange, lucky quest selection. There were 3 of them, all lucky and lively. Ding! Congratulations to host for becoming qualified to participate in the Lucky Fest. Please select your lucky project qualification. Once, twice, thrice. Thank you for participating. The system prompted. Long Fei was a little excited, his eyes could not leave those carnival projects. Bleeding. The cliff is filled with blood. Damn it, all of them are super treasure with low difficulty and high rewards. They are simply free gifts. No wonder it's called Carnival. Long Fei was extremely excited, and was overjoyed as he read the introductions one by one. In the lottery draw, it was all about the super treasure from the memories, the jade plate of creation, the green lotus of creation, the ultimate Tao divine weapon. There were too many to count. Virtually any single entity was capable of dominating the chaos world in front of them. He was an existence that could destroy the world. In the high-leveled items, the experience required to exchange for a drop of HP was equivalent to the price of cabbages, with a bit of health left at 10 million experience. There was still the final lucky mission. He was speechless. Killing an ant would give 500 million experience. The experience gained from nurturing a spirit field was 10 billion. It was entirely for to level up. Any one of these items would definitely cause people to go wild with joy. Haha, no, not a single one. Long Fei's eyes moved. Be it a godly treasure, experience, or a lucky mission, Long Fei did not want to let them go. All these things were things the current Long Fei was extremely thirsty for. She would be like a peerless beauty in this grand celebration. How could Long Fei be willing to not indulge in whatever she wanted to do? Ding! Please enjoy your party. Ding! Please enjoy your party. The system prompted again. Long Fei remained standing and unmoving. He was frantically thinking about how he could block the main system's bug and get rid of his qualification this time. In other words, he could obtain as many qualifications as possible. Otherwise, it would be too much of a loss if he were to receive a drop of blood in exchange for some experience. However, the system seemed to be waiting for an impatient, crazy reminder. Please draw the right to celebrate. Countdown, 5. The system immediately began its countdown. Long Fei was startled. He then started to curse loudly. System, are you trying to scam me? You shameless bunch of things. Install a system on me and then act like a monkey to watch my performance. I haven't even charged you an ornamental fee, and now that you finally gave me a benefit, why are you still letting me choose? Aren't you afraid that Lousy will stop the strike? Long Fei threatened. However, after saying that, he was also very nervous. The threat system was one aspect. But if he really wanted Long Fei to put down the system, Long Fei really wouldn't be able to do it. After all, even though he had cultivated before, and even if his cultivation was not low, compared to the system's abnormal state, there was still a huge gap. Only the system could allow Long Fei to break out of his current predicament. Sure enough, the system also knew that Long Fei couldn't leave the system right now, and completely ignored his clamor. It was still the countdown. 4. Long Fei's face turned cold, and his gaze turned cold. This was too darned. Gritting his teeth, he didn't say a word. 3. The system's voice appeared again, completely ignoring Long Fei's feelings. System, we've been together for so long, yet you don't have any feelings for me. As a last resort, Long Fei could only change his perspective and begin to walk the human path. However, the system remained unmoved. 2. Ding. Please make your choice as soon as possible, otherwise, you will exit the carnival interface. The system said coldly. 1. Player, please make your choice. Long Fei clenched his fists tightly and stared at the interface of the system. System, you are ruthless. One day, I will find your nest and give you a good beating. If you don't believe me, just wait and see. Long Fei said in a ruthless tone, then withdrew his gaze and said, draw. Immediately after Long Fei's voice fell, the row of numbers showing the number of times one had qualified began to turn. 3 times, 3 times, 3 times. It must be 3 times. I don't believe that even if we compete in luck, we would still lose too much. And right at this moment, the numbers finally slowed down and finally stopped. Ding. A crisp sound rang out. A crisp sound rang out. Long Fei also looked over. The next moment, a wild laugh rang out. Ha ha ha, 3 times. 3 times indeed. System, you are awesome. Do you have the guts to control your father's luck? I'm just that awesome. If I knew earlier, why did I waste my time talking to you? Awesome. There was no pleasure, only satisfaction. Completely destroying the system with his luck, Long Fei felt a sense of pride in his heart. At the same time, the system fell into a momentary silence. He seemed to be weighing something. An awkward silence. An instant silence. Long Fei's heart trembled as well. Afraid that the system would cancel his qualification, he hurriedly said, System, begin. 3 chances. I want every one of them to come at me, Long Fei said. There was no need to give the system any extra time to wait. Seeing that he had stopped at the right time, Long Fei controlled it well. Since he knew that there was someone behind the system, how could Long Fei really go against them? After all, he still needed to rely on the system to continue moving forward. Ding. Please choose the carnival item. The system prompted. Long Fei took a deep breath. Big lottery. Without hesitation, Long Fei started from the lottery. The items on the lucky draw were simply too eye-catching, and every single one of them made Long Fei salivate. Ding. The lottery has begun. As his voice faded, The wheel of the lottery began to spin crazily. His speed was so fast that it was dazzling. Long Fei waited. After 5 seconds, the wheel finally started to slow down. And in an instant, Long Fei's face was as ugly as the liver of a pig. Damn. System, you are F***king messing with me. Originally, it was all to intimidate the heavens. But suddenly, in Long Fei's memories, there were many that he had never seen before, that could not even be called out by Long Fei. Some Phylian blades, some eye of the undead. What the hell was this? Alright, even if the eyebrows of the undead is an awesome piece of equipment. But for Long Fei, who was in his current state, it was completely useless. There was simply no need at all for him to show up. However, the system continued to move around in an orderly manner, eventually coming to a stop. Ding! Congratulations player for winning. Shortly after, a ray of light flashed, and 2 crystal-clear white teeth appeared in the system's space. They were waiting for Long Fei to take them out. Winning tick. The master of a zombie. Long Fei was slightly taken aback. If this thing really was the one who won, then it wasn't too bad. When victory struck the netherworld, the underworld and the heaven realm were all just a bunch of green melons. None of the facial Buddha appeared. How could something used by such an incredible existence be inferior to such a thing? But Long Fei was not in a hurry, anyway the thing was in his hands, and the system's carnival was approaching. Continue. The lucky great convergence. Long Fei's eyes were filled with anticipation. It could be said that this was also an opportunity that Long Fei was looking forward to. Exchange of blood experience. A bit of health left 10 million. With his current HP of millions, if he were to take the Grand Slam, wouldn't he rise to the heavens in a single leap? It was still a selection process, but there weren't many options available this time, ranging from 1 to 10,000 points. Ding! Congratulations player, you have drawn the lottery to exchange for it. You have consumed 3,000 HP. You have obtained 30 billion experience. Ding! Congratulations player, you have drawn the lottery to exchange for it. The system's voice sounded out. Long Fei felt his heart thumping hard. Too excited. Sure enough, there was no satisfaction, only satisfaction. He stood there motionlessly as if he had leveled up by half a level. Although it did not have 10,000 HP, Long Fei was satisfied. Only when one was satisfied would they always be happy. It was for free anyway. 30 billion experience was equivalent to dozens of big bosses. How could he not be satisfied? Continue, draw the lucky mission, Long Fei said. In one go, he might as well take advantage of his current luck and proceed directly. Ding! Congratulations player for drawing a quest, entering the Yang God realm and becoming a sun deity. Time of the mission, 3 years. Mission level, SSS task reward, continuously increased by 2 levels. Quest penalty, soul division dies, real body dies. Mission status, accepted. Long Fei stared at the system panel in front of him without moving, his heart once again going berserk. Compulsory task. Although the task reward was very tempting, the danger was extremely great. It was not a lucky mission at all. It was a huge pit. The system must have done it on purpose. It only appeared after knowing that I had created a soul before. Long Fei thought to himself that the group of people behind the system was indeed not simple. He did not miss such a small detail. As expected, the details were the most important. Whiz. Whiz. At this time, an identical figure appeared in front of Long Fei. It was the soul which had been slashed out earlier. She looked deeply at Long Fei. Long Fei was also surprised to discover that apart from the fact that there was no system within the clone, the aura of his cultivation base was actually exactly the same as his. System, does that mean my clone has all of my cultivation as well? Long Fei asked in surprise. This allowed Long Fei to feel a bit more at ease. After all, that was the Sun God world. Back then, when he killed the Sun God's god of boundary in the Abyss Demon prison, he clearly knew of the opponent's strength. The other party possesses an independent consciousness, but being able to communicate with the host under certain conditions, the host can descend to the Yang God realm. The system said. What are the conditions? Long Fei was startled, and immediately asked. For now. The system did not even bother with Long Fei as he said calmly. Then, on the interface of the system, a dense cloud of gas appeared. With a flash of light, a door suddenly appeared. As for the clone Long Fei, under the guidance of the system, he stepped inside and disappeared without a trace. Long Fei was still a little apprehensive, but he was still a little worried. Still, he did not say anything. Fooling was a type of attitude. Long Fei believed that even if it was just a soul clone, it would still be able to fly. Thinking of this, Long Fei no longer wasted time on the system, and he did not take out the kiss of victory. Because right now, there were less than 12 days left. He still had to go to the mountain. Whiz. Instantly, his consciousness returned to his body. At this moment, Li Wuxin had already opened her eyes. The aura emanating from her body had become even more profound, and waves of destructive energy was drawn onto his body without being released. Awesome, he hasn't even refined the power of extermination, yet he already has this posture of a great emperor. If he were to refine it, to what degree would he reach? Long Fei was secretly looking forward to it. Boss. Li Wuxin said in a low voice. The sound lines became very low. You. Long Fei asked in a low voice. Don't worry, boss, I just know more after I find my heart. Oh right, boss, I feel that you have a very strong destructive power in you, can you give it to me? Li Wuxin asked with a face full of expectation. Without even thinking about it, Long Fei directly passed down the power inheritance of the Emperor of the Extinction Realm to Li Wuxin. Take it. It was originally prepared for you. And this time, we have to play big one. Let's return to the Heavenly Empire. I will take back everything that belongs to you and overturn the Sky Empire. Space-time was limitless. In the blink of an eye, 10,000 kilometers had passed. Space-time was limitless. In the blink of an eye, 10,000 kilometers had passed. With regards to Long Fei's cultivation, although he was tens of millions of miles away from the Sky Empire, with their speed, it would not take them long to reach their destination. However, because it was convenient for Li Wuxin to absorb and refine the inheritance power of the Emperor of the Extermination Realm, he had deliberately lowered his speed. Even so, after 2 hours, the Sky Empire's Zhu form still appeared before them. Boss, I wonder if that old bastard, the Celestial Emperor, is still around in the Sky Empire? If that old thing is here, I'm afraid we are not his match yet. Li Yuanba said with a serious face. When paired with his simple and honest expression, it made people unable to restrain their laughter. The current Li Yuanba had already returned to his normal height, and the berserk mode was already one of his strengths. When needed, he would be able to transform in an instant. Under normal circumstances, it was still normal. Don't worry. The Celestial Emperor probably can't wait any longer to go to the Chaos Mountains. The current him shouldn't be able to wait to collect all the resources he can use. When the time comes, he'll be able to control the qualification battles. Therefore, the Sky Empire right now doesn't really have anything that can stop us. Long Fei analyzed. No matter what relationship the Heavenly Emperor had with the Lord of Primal Chaos, Long Fei had guessed. The qualification battles were definitely not simple. Since the Lord of Chaos will save the world, then there must be a way out. Compared to the Heavenly Empire, people like the Heavenly Emperor did not care at all. If they were able to leave this unknown place, a mere king of a country would not count for much. One was the god of boundary, the other was the sovereign king. There was no need to even think about the difference. As long as one had brains, they would immediately abandon an entire kingdom. It was also because of this that Long Fei was so sure that as long as the Sky Emperor was not present, who would Long Fei be afraid of? Who else could stop him from doing what he wanted to do? There was no one here. To overturn the Sky Empire, that was not just talk. From the moment the Celestial Emperor heavily injured Li Yuanba and Yu Ru, this conclusion had already been set in stone. A dragon has a reverse scale. Long Fei's weak spot was the people around him, since the Heavenly Emperor had touched them. Then there would be no possibility of being kind. Suddenly, at this moment, the color of the heavens and earth changed. The primordial chaos rumbled. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Boom. It was as if a huge hole was about to split open in the world. The chaotic clouds were moving up and down, shocking the world. Within a radius of millions of miles. Daybreak. The entire world suddenly turned dark. Yuan Ba, watch out for my protector, Long Fei immediately said. Long Fei had already guessed that this instantaneous change was definitely related to Li Wuxin. I'll go lay down a barrier to hide this place. Yu Ru also reacted, directly taking action without waiting for Long Fei's orders. Shua shua shua. In a blink of an eye, the power of the Sky Spill Pearl spread throughout the entire sky, instantly dispersing into the surroundings. As for the place where Long Fei and the rest were, it was completely an enigmatic place, as if it was split into primal chaos that no one else could see. It can't be, boss, why is this guy's aura so strong all of a sudden? Peak of the super perfection? He's at the same level as eldest sister-in-law. Your method is awesome. The Emperor has cultivated it, Li Yuanba said in shock. He was a witness, including Yu Ru and Li Wuxin, who had gone from extremely weak to extremely strong. In such a short period of time. This kind of method, even if he stayed by Long Fei's side the entire time, he would still feel incomparable terror. Heh, you're right, it's the formation of a great emperor. But it's not enough yet. How can 2 great emperors be enough? What I want are 13 great emperors. Haha, it feels great just thinking about it. Long Fei smiled and said. He was too satisfied. Li Wuxin's cultivation base also broke through in an instant. There was almost no resistance at all. Once Emperor Yang's legacy energy was absorbed, his cultivation base skyrocketed. He had fought all the way to the peak of the Paragon level, just like Euro had done. Boss. Li Wuxin opened her eyes, as though she was already used to her own strength. After looking around, she walked in front of Long Fei. Very good. Now, you can go to the Empyrean God Empire and personally take action. I can take back all the pain that was inflicted on your body. Long Fei said. Boss, I won't say anything else. As long as I, Li Wuxin, am alive, no one can think of harming you. Li Wuxin said solemnly. At the same time, within the Sky Empire, the 2 great families had already fallen into endless panic. One was the Li clan, and the other was the Tian clan. In the Li family. Trash, all trash. What in the world is going on? Why can't I find any clues? Who is it? Who was it? To dare to attack Boundless against him, this is challenging the authority of our Li clan. Investigate. Continue investigating. I don't believe that I can't find him. In the Li family's lobby. Angry voices rose and fell, each and every one of them unable to contain their anger. There was only one reason. Li Wuyu had died. For such a clan, having a spirit jade token lock onto their own disciple was nothing out of the ordinary. Thus, they had already known about it the moment Li Wuji died. However, by the time the men from the Li family had rushed outside the Tianyun city, the Lord of Chaos had already revived everything. The Tian clan was the same. Tian Lu, who was the most outstanding disciple of his generation, and his cultivation was already far above the clan elders. How could they not care about the death of such a disciple? So ruthless. In a short 2 days, he killed 2 of my clan's genius disciples. It's intolerable. Go to the country and report to the Celestial Emperor. This old man will be the commander. I must kill the person who killed my grandson. An old man with a powerful cultivation and surging aura glared at the sky and said with hatred. Lord Patriarch, the Celestial Emperor has yet to return. However, esteemed Wang Fei did send out a decree. A servant of the Tian family said with a hint of concern. Speak, what decree? The Tian clan patriarch, Tian War King, said coldly. Empress Dowager Zhen said that the person who killed the young master and master was a youth named Long Fei. Right now, they are already rushing over from the Heavenly Empire. The Tian clan servant said. Long Fei? You have guts. You killed my grandson and you still dare to come to the Sky Empire? If I don't tear him apart, then I won't be able to live up to my Tian clan's reputation of fierce battle. After he finished speaking, Tianhuo King picked up a large blade and changed into a set of armor, then started walking out. The scene changed again. The primal chaos realm had already returned to peace, and Long Fei and the rest had also come to the Heavenly Emperor's realm. Long Fei and Li Wuxin looked at each other and laughed. When they thought about what had happened previously, they couldn't help but sigh. Right, that trashy young master from last time, you must remember to leave it for me. I did say that the next time we meet, I will definitely take his dog life. Long Fei said. Before he even entered the city, he had already begun to divide up the enemies. It was this kind of violence, this kind of tyranny. It was because he had the ability to do so. In the Sky Empire, the wind was blowing. In the Sky Empire, the wind was blowing. The Celestial Emperor did not return. Everything seemed to be in order, but there were dark ripples behind it. Su. One golden armored guard after another madly rushed through, not giving up on any further investigation. Long Fei, Yu, and the others were waiting. Fuck, what the hell is going on? Suddenly, the matter was strictly investigated. My carts of elixirs have all been docked. Hey, who says I am? A few carts of spiritual medicine is nothing. Even the spirit beasts I sold were forcibly confiscated. Rumor has it that they are searching for a few audacious traitors. Damned things, don't let me know who it is, or else I'll pay for it myself and get people to kill them too. The crowd was filled with complaints. Everyone was complaining. They absolutely did not know that the person who had done all of this was standing behind them. Boss, this is King Awkward. It seems like we've angered the masses. Li Yuanbar said helplessly, but his face was extremely calm. Because of their threats, he wouldn't even take them seriously. So what? If they don't know what's good for them, then it's not as simple as overturning the empire. Only kill. Long Fei said coldly. He would not kill, but he would definitely not allow others to poop and pee on his head. If they were looking for death, Long Fei didn't mind adding a little more experience. And it was also at this time that the long queue finally reached Long Fei. The Golden Armor Guard, who was leading the group, arrogantly arrived in front of Long Fei with an arrogant face. Kid, release your minds and your storage treasures and receive our examination. This general will not accept any nonsense and will not accept any rebuttal. Of course, unless you want to die. The Golden Armored Guard said coldly, about to attack. But just at that moment, Li Wuxin was moved, and directly walked in front of Long Fei. He did not say a single word, but the killing intent in his eyes explained everything. In the distance, there were those who had already entered the city, as well as those who hadn't. His eyes immediately lit up. Ha ha ha, finally someone who isn't afraid of death comes out to fight. Although the result is still courting death, if we are able to attract the attention of the Golden Armor Guard, then the pressure on us will lessen a bit. Let's take a look and see what attitude the Golden Armor Guard has. I hope this kid doesn't want the wax head of the silver spear. As long as it doesn't seem useful to me, then it's fine. Countless discussions broke out, all of them looking forward to the show. Humph. Long Fei snorted coldly, completely ignoring them. Instead, he turned his gaze towards the Golden Armored Guard. What if I say no? Long Fei said indifferently. Releasing his mind? Undoing the restrictions on storage treasures? It doesn't exist. Even if the Heavenly Emperor said such words, Long Fei still felt that he was an idiot. This was because it was related to the cultivator's privacy, so they definitely would not easily allow it. What's more, the one who said that was just a little kid. Even if he had a high-leveled cultivation in the ancient era, in Long Fei's eyes, he was still just one. Good. Just as I was feeling bored, a tough guy came. Brothers, all of you come over here. There's someone acting tough here. It's a good opportunity to capture him and let young Master Wu Qing make his decision. The Golden Armor army in front of him sneered and said 3 good words in a row. Shua. Immediately, a few figures appeared in the sky and descended quickly. Just the few of them? He's really reckless. Seems like he's relying on some influence in his family to get a few bodyguards to act cool. A mere 7th-level ancient supreme elder actually dares to challenge the dignity of our heavenly empire with such a cultivation. He really doesn't even know how to write the word death. Cut the crap, just take it down and bring it to young Master Wu Qing. As they spoke, their gazes moved from Long Fei to Yu Ru. Ha ha ha, what a beautiful woman. If we offer it to young Master Wu Qing, then we'll be able to break out of this layer of golden armor and be promoted to lieutenant as if we were playing around. The lustful looks in their eyes suddenly disappeared. Instantly, Long Fei's face changed. Even though he knew that he was the only one in her heart, evil thoughts still sprouted in their hearts. It had already touched upon his bottom line. Unintentional. Long Fei shouted coldly. Hearing this, the corner of Li Wuxin's mouth curled up, revealing a hint of coldness. Then, his right hand moved. POW. A slap landed on the person who cried the loudest. Boom. The moment the slap landed, the golden armor guard's body exploded like a rubber ball. Countless pieces of flesh and blood splattered onto the ground. The smell of blood floated in the air. Dead silence. This scene caused everyone to turn pale with fright and fall into a deathly silence. No one would have thought that just like that, a golden armor guard would be killed with a single slap. Stomp. Stomp. A few explosions rang out. Those golden armored guards weren't idiots. Although they were used to being arrogant and despotic, they were people with a clear mind. Since Li Wuxin was able to kill their accomplices with a single slap, then he would be facing them. There wouldn't be any accidents either. You're finished, you guys are dead. I'll go call young Master Wu Qing right now. When the time comes, all of you can just wait for death. Right, offending our golden armor guard means certain death. Just you wait. The few golden armored guards had ashen faces. After a few threatening words, they turned around and fled. They didn't dare to stay any longer. They were afraid that they would be the next to be blown up. Long Fei completely ignored him as a few traces of ridicule flashed past his cold and detached eyes. Li Wuqing. TSK, TSK. It's a piece of broken iron that can be found anywhere. It doesn't take any effort at all to obtain it. I wonder what kind of face you'll have when you see me. Long Fei thought. He looked around and spoke. If you don't want to die, then scram. Overbearing and matchless. It was just like the scenes from the previous TV series, where people would do whatever they wanted and leave when they had nothing to do. Right now, Long Fei was the person who needed to do something. As for them, they were all random people. Why? Kid, don't think you can show off your strength just with a few brushes. Don't be like that. You don't even know how you'll die. One must know that there is always someone stronger than you. Some of the well-built people with extraordinary cultivation base spoke up. As for Long Fei, he completely ignored them. At this time, Li Yuanba immediately took a step forward and picked up the person who spoke. Are you unconvinced? Li Yuanba said. I. POW. Li Yuanba was even more straightforward and sent a simple slap over. It was simple and crude, and it directly ended that person's life. Li Yuanba then walked towards another person. Using the same trick, he grabbed it in one go. Are you unconvinced? I admit defeat. I admit defeat. Spare me, don't kill me. We're convinced. We're convinced. Spare us and we'll scram. Right, we'll leave now. Instantly, one figure after another left in panic. Only then did Li Yuanba stroke his bald head in satisfaction, and walked in front of Long Fei with a silly smile. The boss has been taken care of, Li Yuanba said. Long Fei laughed. No, it's not a solution. It's the beginning. After saying that, Long Fei's gaze turned cold. Li Wuqing, since you've come out, why are you still hiding? Didn't they say that this meeting will take my life? Come, my life is right here, do you dare to take it? Silence. Silence. With just a thought, Long Fei sensed the change in the aura in the air and was already aware of Li Wuqing's arrival. Suddenly, a figure appeared. It was Li Wuqing. Li Wuqing's face was extremely vicious as he stared at Long Fei. Kid, I didn't expect you to be alive after coming back from the cannon fodder battalion. But so what? If we can run away from the cannon fodder battalion, we will be sentenced to death penalty. Your return is tantamount to treason. This commander has the right to kill you on the spot. Li Wuqing spoke with a haughty expression, as if he was in complete control of the situation and did not place Long Fei in his eyes at all. Long Fei was startled, and looked at Li Wuqing like a clown. It was too blocked. In this unknown land, was the transmission of messages blocked? With such a huge incident happening outside the Tianyun city, could it be that there was no news at all in the entire Sky Empire? Boss, this person is a retard, right? Could it be that he doesn't know anything about what happened? Are you still talking about the cannon fodder battalion? Li Yuanba asked with a stupefied expression. Earlier, Li Wuxin had told him about the cannon fodder battalion. But now, the cannon fodder battalion had become history. Let alone the cannon fodder camp, even the core strength of the Sky Empire had already become Long Fei's spirit. Li Wuqing still brought up this matter. How lagging is the message? Boss, it's very normal. He is just a trash who is looking to die. How could an existence like him know about that? Li Wuxin explained. Long Fei finally understood. To put it bluntly, Li Wuqing was a relative. Because of the Li family's background, he had become a government official and a teacher, pretending to be a popinjay. What happened before that caused the Sky Empire to go into a frenzy? How could he know about it? Li Wuqing was confused listening to their conversation, but he instinctively thought that Long Fei and the others were just putting on an act. Upon hearing Li Wuxin call him a trash, he was instantly enraged. Li Wuxin, it seems that you want to die. You came back just in time. If I don't show you your mother's coquettish behavior today, I wouldn't be called Li Wuqing. Li Wuqing said angrily. He turned and said a few words to his follower. But no matter what, he would never have thought that in front of a peak great perfection powerhouse like Li Wuxin, his sound transmission was like telling Li Wuxin personally, "Bring that bitch over here." These were Li Wuqing's exact words. There was no need to think about it. The slut that Li Wuqing spoke of had already said who she was. You're courting death. Li Wuxin coldly snorted as he took a step forward. A look of utter annihilation flashed in his eyes as he prepared to make his move. But just at this moment, it was stopped by Long Fei. We agreed that this person is mine. And don't you think it would be fun to give him a chance to bounce up and down and then, hopefully, give him a fatal despair? Long Fei said. All right, I'll listen to boss. Li Wuxin said. At this time, Li Wuqing also saw the rage on Li Wuxin's face, and his face was filled with complacency. What is it? Are you very angry? But what can you do? Trash was trash. Do you have the guts to attack Lousy? You don't dare. Because you have always been a piece of trash. Just you wait. In a moment, I'll let you know what despair is. Li Wuqing laughed madly. At the same time, 3 figures appeared in the distance. 2 of them were golden armored guards. In the middle was an extremely beautiful woman. However, it was extremely weak, as if there was some kind of restriction placed on it. Even its soul flame was dying. Crack, crack, crack. Li Wuxin was infuriated. The sound of his fists exploding was so loud that it sounded as if his bones were about to be crushed. Master, the power in this person's body has been around for a long time. It seems like it was purposely used by someone. Although it binds her soul, it is still a form of protection for her. In the space, Long Quang said. Yes, I know. Long Fei said as he nodded his head. The moment the woman appeared, Long Fei immediately sensed that she had the same aura as the eyes of extermination from the secret world S in the extinction prison. Although this aura sealed her soul, it was also a form of protection for her. However, it was hidden very well. Only when it received an attack would it activate itself. Mother. Li Wuxin gritted his teeth and spoke out in pain. The sound was like the grinding of pig iron, filled with coldness. Don't be impulsive, they didn't attack your mother. Long Fei consoled. And at this time, a wild laugh sounded. It was Li Wuqing. Haha, do you see that? Li Wuxin, you trash. This is your mother. Looking at her appearance, You definitely can't imagine how your mother looked like in bed. Haha, this is simply a paradise on earth. Li Wuqing laughed loudly. What he did not know was that every laugh of his had become a death knell for him. Li Wuxin was already intolerable. As a son, how could he be indifferent to others making fun of his birth mother? Instantly, Li Wuxin made her move. The will of extermination exploded out, filling heaven and earth with power. Long Fei secretly shook his head from behind. But it didn't matter, no matter who Li Wuqing died to, it would still be the same. This kind of retarded thing like this would not die. The heavens could not tolerate this. Even if the heavens could allow it, Long Fei would not allow it. Damn it. You all deserve to die. The entire Li clan will begin with you. I'm going to exterminate all of you. Li Wuxin screamed, and the aura emanating from his body was also completely released. The aura of a peak of the super perfection stage descended in an instant. Puff puff puff. As the aura descended, it was filled with an aura of annihilation. Under this terrifying pressure, each and every one of the golden armored guards vomited blood and died. A few hundred people were instantly killed. Terrifying. Far off in the distance, those who still wanted to watch the show all had incomparably frightened expressions on their faces. They wished that their parents would have more legs and explode their heads in a mad dash. Oh my god, it's so scary. Fortunately, I didn't act cool earlier on, otherwise I wouldn't even know how I died right now. Who said just now that they were acting cool? With this power, who needs to pretend? Who in the Sky Empire dares to act in front of them? All of them were filled with regret as they frantically tried to escape this troublesome place. It was also at this moment that Li Wuqing was heavily crushed. His silhouette unceasingly retreated, his face full of panic. No, that's impossible. You piece of trash, how could you suddenly possess this kind of ability? I absolutely do not believe that a trash like you can make a comeback. Fart. Blood kept flowing out of Li Wuqing's mouth, and his face was ashen. Pieces of flesh were constantly being spat out from his mouth. Even his internal organs were severely injured under this kind of pressure. You what? Do you think you're so awesome? Frog at the bottom of the well. If it wasn't for the Li family, you would be a dog. Now that even Li Wuji is dead, what qualifications do you think you have to display your might? Trash. Ha ha ha, you are the trash that you have been calling you for hundreds of years. Now, tell me, who's the trash? Kneel. Li Wuxin's face turned pale, and the aura from his body grew even stronger. Li Wuxin's face turned pale, and the aura from his body grew even stronger. Plop. There was no surprise at all. Li Wuqing was pressed down on the ground by all kinds of forces and kneeled on the ground. He crawled on the ground like a dog, struggling on the brink of death. He crushed his opponent to death with his domineering aura. Li Wuqing's face was extremely pale, and his breathing was heavy. He was on the verge of death. The more qi he breathed in, the less energy he would expel. It was as if Li Wuxin were to display a bit more of his aura, he would immediately die. The river flows east for 30 years, west for 30 years. Li Wuqing, you flaunted your abilities in front of me and treated me like trash. I will endure. Time and time again, you've treated me like a clown and a joke. I'll endure it. But now, use my mother to threaten me. I can't bear it. All of this is your own fault. Die. Li Wuxin's voice sank, his right hand lightly pressing down. Boom. Li Wuqing's body was directly struck by Li Wuxin's palm. At the same time, a figure appeared out of thin air. No. A furious roar came from the void. But in the end, it was too late. Li Wuxin's strength was not something Li Wuqing could withstand. The pressure alone was enough to suppress Li Wuqing, let alone personally taking action. Boom. With a palm strike, it directly exploded. Ah. Little bastard, didn't I already tell you to stop? A figure descended, similar to Li Wuqing. Li Shuang, you told me to stop, then I stopped. Who do you think you are? Li Wuxin completely ignored him. How dare a lame duck dare to be so disrespectful to this old man just because of a little fortuitous encounter? I think you're tired of living. Li Shuang's face turned cold as she said coldly. Cut the crap, how do you feel about 2 sons dying? Isn't it great? But don't worry, I will personally pay you back the pain you inflicted on my body. As Li Wuxin spoke, the aura around her dissipated, and she appeared in front of Long Fei. Boss, I'm sorry I wasn't able to hold back just now. I accidentally killed that piece of trash. I didn't expect it to be this weak. If I knew earlier, I would have saved it for you. Hey, I was wrong. Li Wuxin said in a deep voice. Deep in his heart, that kind of expression where no one was around and Li Shuang was being ignored, Long Fei could not bear to watch any further. Formless posturing was the most lethal of all. What do you mean by accidentally killing him? What did he mean by unexpectedly weak? It was clearly naked ridicule and disdain. Also, he even brought up the famous saying that broke the sky in his previous life. The river flows east and west for 30 years. Even Long Fei felt his liver aching. He really wanted to say, what the F*******K? A super great complete realm, how terrifying. However, in the end, Long Fei only chuckled. It's fine, they have so many people. Let's slowly kill them. Long Fei said. He knew that Li Wuxin and the Li family had accumulated resentment for a long time. The clan's trash, Chai, had leaped to become the unparalleled ruler of an entire region. He had even obtained the power of the Emperor of Destruction. What do you want to do the most? Of course he was going to push through everything and crush all those who looked down on him in the past. And Long Fei liked to do this kind of thing the most. What's more, they came to the Empyrean to kill. Revenge. Boss is right, there are a lot of people from the Li family, and most of them are from the dog generation. Let's slowly kill them. Li Wuxin nodded and said. But at this moment, Li Shuang, who was standing on the side, was unable to contain her anger. Long Fei and Li Wuxin's casual exchange had belittled their Li clan to the point that they were worthless, worse than pigs and dogs. As a Li family elder, how could he take it? Plus, he had lost 2 of his sons. With the murderer right in front of him, his heart was already bursting with killing intent. Damn it. 2 dogs. You dare to look down on my Li family? Today, I will make you all die a graveless death. Li Shuang became furious and pushed her hands out. Extermination palm. Boop. The palm caused chaos in the world, and the destructive power exploded out. But whether it was Long Fei or Li Wuxin, neither of them dodged. What Li Wuxin had obtained was the source energy of the Emperor of Extermination, the power to control the profound mysteries of extermination. To him, this level of power of extermination was not even worth mentioning. As for Long Fei, with the light of the Absolute Soul, he could destroy everything with a single glance. You dog, why aren't you dodging? You 2 idiots, let's see how you die this time. When Li Shuang saw that the 2 of them didn't avoid them, a look of joy flashed across her eyes. He had absolute confidence in his own strength. In addition, his cultivation base was already at the peak of the great complete realm. He also believed that both of them would die with a single palm strike. But at this moment, he was stunned. He stared at the scene before him in disbelief. With a casual wave of Li Wuxin's hand, the fatal blow he had prepared disappeared without a trace. And Long Fei, with just a cold glance, was able to cause him to feel a bone-piercing chill. It was as if he was being watched by the god of death. His entire body was ice-cold, and even his bones had been frozen. You dare to call this kind of power an extermination? Little clown, you can't even take a single blow. My boss can kill you with a single glance. Boss, I'm not going to fight with you for it this time. Watch you put on an act. Li Wuxin took a step back after destroying Li Shuang's power. Long Fei chuckled, and nodded in satisfaction. Li Wuxin patted Li Wuxin's shoulder with an expression that seemed as if he could teach a lesson to a child. All right, since you've already said so. Then if I don't do it, wouldn't I be letting you down? If you say you'll kill him with a glare, then kill him with a glare. As Long Fei said that, his gaze gradually landed on Li Shuang's body. Eyes of extermination, open. As he gently spoke, a cold light immediately flashed on Long Fei's forehead. The light splitting apart a little at a time, and finally flashing between Long Fei's brows, a scar that looked like lightning appeared. Immediately after, the space between his eyebrows split open and a pair of grey eyes appeared. However, his eyes were shut tight. When this scene appeared, Li Yuanba and the rest were shocked. Damn, the fortress. Since when did boss have an extra eye? It's really amazing. Li Yuanba said. It can't be. I was just saying that boss won't really kill this old thing with a single glance, right? Li Wuxin was speechless. Even though he had already obtained the inheritance of the emperor, he was still extremely shocked. Only Yuro's eyes were twinkling. So handsome. No matter what he looks like, he's always so cool. However, Long Fei did not care about all these. Right now in his heart, all he wanted to do was to kill. The Sky Empire was the only way. And now, it had only just begun. Eye of destruction, shoot. After a moment, Long Fei fixed his eyes and shouted softly. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Those tightly shut grey eyes instantly opened and shot out a streak of grey-white light like a flame directly towards Li Shuang. The light from the sky was blinding, illuminating the heavens. The light from the sky was blinding, illuminating the heavens. One eye, one light. Above the heavens and earth, above the sovereign of life. Ding! Congratulations player for triggering absolute killing attributes. At that moment, the system's voice rang out. Long Fei's eyes lit up. Ha ha, as expected of the killing attribute. Long Fei's heart was moved, he was extremely pleased. He used this method. It was all to intimidate. To be able to instantly kill it, that was the most suitable choice. Whoosh. Immediately. After triggering the power of certain death, the power of his pupils exploded and filled the sky with a destructive power. When did this boss have this kind of move? His heaven's eyes are shining, he's killing the enemy with a single glance. How awesome. Li Yuanba had always held Long Fei in high esteem, and seeing this scene, he could not help but speak up. In the distance, Li Shuang's body seemed to have been frozen, the light reflected in her eyes. Closer and closer. It was only when the light was only a few dozen feet away from him that he reacted. No. Li Shuang shouted loudly, turned around and left without a care for anything else. But it was too late. How fast is light? It was so fast that it was hard to describe, not to mention the distance was so close. Plus, this was a single target skill. How could he still have the chance to escape? Whiz. With a flash of light, Li Shuang's body was engulfed. There weren't even any screams as they turned into fine powder and dissipated into the air. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing the Li family elder. You have received 120,000 experience points. Holy source points, 120000. Striking value, 1 point. The system notification popped up. The system had automatically blocked all the messages, except for some experience points. There was no hint at all. He killed a person at a glance. This sort of method would shock the entire heavenly empire. To be able to instantly kill an existence at the peak of perfection, what level was this? A heavenly duel master? Hiss. The space was filled with the sound of haw-haw, gasps of cold air, and the sound of chattering teeth. At this moment, Long Fei's existence had become taboo. Everyone's gaze automatically drooped down, as they felt ashamed of their inferior appearance, and didn't dare to look up to the heavens. Long Fei was the sky. Gods were not omnipotent, but Long Fei was omnipotent. To be able to kill a paragon with a single glance was a completely different kind of status, one that was unparalleled in the world. However, they naturally did not know that Long Fei's move was to cater to Li Wuxin's words. If he was going to kill him, then he might as well put on a high front and create an invincible posture. This was how they were going to go berserk. In this world, power was the only thing that mattered. If your fist was strong, no one would dare to touch it. This was exactly what Long Fei wanted. Who else? Long Fei's voice resonated across the sky and earth, his gaze sweeping across the entire sky. The third eye flashed with a cold light on his forehead. Wherever his gaze passed by, no one dared to look directly at him. Silence. There was no response at all. "Boss, what are we going to do now?" Li Yuanbar went closer and asked. Even his figure had become arrogant. There was no other way. Long Fei's display of power this time was too successful. Success to the point where no one dared to refute it. Entering the city, of course. Since they do not dare to come out, then let's kill our way in. Like I said, this is just the beginning. If you overturn the Sky Empire, you will begin from here. Long Fei said as he took the first step. Ha ha ha, boss is boss, I like to be this violent. Kill. Li Yuanbar laughed and chased after him. Li Wuxin's eyes were icy cold, looking at the direction that Long Fei was heading in, he knew that this was the way to the Li family. Boss, thank you. As Li Wuxin thought this, he carried his already weak and unconscious mother and chased after Long Fei. As for Yu Ru, she had long since followed Long Fei, the moment he walked out. She was like a small follower, following him from behind. In the distance, those people had their heads buried deep inside, and their bodies were completely drenched. Oh my God, who are they, to actually want to overturn the empire? So shocking, so dazzling. I seem to have witnessed the greatest riot in the history of the Bedlam lands. I cannot miss this. Even if I die, I must witness this historic moment. The crowd began to stir. Because with just a single sentence from Long Fei, every single one of them seemed to have grown mad. They had been under the control of the Sky Empire for far, far too long. Now that he had the chance to see such an incredible feat, how could he possibly let it go? Li family. What? Frost General died. Who is so bold as to actually dare to stay in the Eastern lands? Could it be Long Fei? That's impossible. Isn't he going to participate in the qualification battles? The Li family members were in a state of panic. News about Li Wuyu's death and Zhen Fei's secret edict were spread far and wide. They kept quiet, afraid of causing a family cholera. This also explained why Li Wuqing and Li Shuang did not care about Long Fei at all. However, they never would have thought that troubles would continuously arise. At this moment, the fury in their hearts was completely ignited. What guts! A skinny camel is bigger than a horse. A tiger with its teeth out isn't something a dog can mess with. Besides, Wu Jiang is only a tooth. Today, I will let them know that my Li clan is still invincible. In the Li family's ancestral courtyard, the killing intent of the few elders surged. However, it was at this point that a rumbling sound could be heard. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The loud sound was deafening. One by one, the buildings were destroyed and turned into ruins. Their eyes turned cold and they flew out immediately. But in front of him, there was no longer the appearance of a family from the Heavenly Empire. Aside from the ancestral courtyard that they were in, which was still in good condition, the entire Li family was gone. Countless Li family members wailed in anguish, causing heavy casualties. In the distance, Li Yuanbar was crazily brandishing her fist as usual. Every time it descended, a group of Li family members would die from the explosive force. As for fleeing, that was completely impossible. Yu Ru had long since set up the sky spill boundary, and her painting was a prison. The entire Li family turned into a cage, trapping them inside. Boy, who are you? Why did you have to be so cruel to my Li clan? An old man flew up into the air, killing intent flickering in his eyes. Who am I? Didn't you already guess it? As for killing your Li family members, do you need a lot of reasons? Long Fei retorted. Everything he had done today, other than wanting to find trouble for the Heavenly Emperor, was for Li Wuxin. Long Fei, you are Long Fei? The old man spoke and stopped in his tracks. That's right, I am Long Fei. Long Fei said. At this time, Li Wuxin took a step forward. Boss, leave this to me. I want to do it myself. Li Wuxin said with a pleading look in her eyes. Long Fei paused for a moment, looked at the few elders, contemplated for a moment, and said, What are you going to do? Li Wuxin smiled as a chilling aura burst forth from her body. How can we be so ruthless? We can only kill them all. Kill them all. Kill them all. A monstrous resentment was emitted from Li Wuxin's body, and his killing intent was emitted crazily from his body. Long Fei nodded. Between the enemy and his brother, there was no consideration at all. Of course, his own brothers were supreme. Since he wanted to kill him, he might as well just slaughter him. Let alone a Li clan, even if Long Fei massacred the entire Sky Empire, he would still accompany them to the end. And at this time, the Li family noticed Li Wuxin's existence. Is it you, trash? We should have killed you too. To give birth to children for no reason is like losing one's family. Now, you even colluded with outsiders to harm my Li clan. Backbone. If I knew earlier on, I would have killed you, a bastard, but even I couldn't insult my Li family's name. In front of him, an elder from the Li clan spoke with a cold expression, his eyes filled with malice. Every word he said was filled with contempt towards Li Wuxin. Of course, that was because he could not see through Li Wuxin's cultivation. Li family surname? Ha ha ha, since you all value the so-called Li family so much. Then I will destroy the Li clan today, and from now on, the inheritance will be my Li clan. Li Wuxin coldly said as he put his mother down. Children with yellow mouths, you are courting death. As the Li family elder spoke, his aura grew even stronger. Ha! Long Fei sneered. Can you do it? We're already at your doorstep, and you're not even making a move. If you want to fight, just fight. Stop bullshitting. As Long Fei spoke, he took a step back and handed the battlefield over to Li Wuxin. No, it should be Li Wuxin. Li Wuxin nodded and then stepped forward. All these years, you have given me so much pain. Today, we will settle this debt. As he spoke, the aura on Li Wuxin's body trembled and collapsed. The power of an expert at the peak of the paragon level suddenly exploded forth. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Endless pressure swept out. With Li Wuxin at the center, he vanished. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Countless buildings were instantly annihilated under this pressure. The Li family elder was shocked. Peak of super grand perfection? How is that possible? How could a trash like you have such a cultivation? Elders, quickly attack. Kill that bastard together. The Li family elder had a flustered expression as he opened his mouth to call out. Su su su. Instantly, all the Li family higher-ups appeared. His face was ice-cold. Of course, there were also panic and shock. This is Li Wuxin. How is this possible? How can he be a cripple in such a short amount of time? Someone opened their mouth, but stopped midway. At this time, Li Wuxin's cultivation was already above them. If Li Wuxin was a trash, then what were they? In the past, they wouldn't even have noticed Li Wuxin's existence. If not for such a big commotion, they would have long since forgotten the existence of their home and their mother. They were high and mighty, and would never care about that. But today, it was Li Wuxin, the monarch who they had never placed in their eyes before. He was the one who had seemingly ruled over all life, firmly controlling their life and death with just a thought. Such a contrast was extremely hard for them to accept. But Li Wuxin would not care about these things. Even if all of them were to make a move, Li Wuxin would not be the least bit moved. Step by step, the destructive power within him exploded out. Hua! The destructive power within Li Wuxin's hands shone brilliantly. Under his control, it turned into a long chain. Hua Lala! The chains swayed non-stop, dragging themselves through the air. Chain of destruction. Impossible, this is the order chains of the Emperor of Destruction. The family doesn't even have an inheritance, how could you have this kind of skill? Kid, tell me, have you obtained the complete inheritance? Instantly, the eyes of the elders flickered with a bright light. The Li family had only inherited a little bit of the Li family's strength, yet they already had their current status. If one obtained complete strength, wouldn't that mean that they would be able to dominate the entire world? In an instant, all the fear was banished by greed. It was like saying that a hungry wolf was not afraid of a hunter's hunting rifle at all. In the distance, even Long Fei raised an eyebrow. Li Wuxin's move even caused his heart to tremble. This chain, which was formed from the power of annihilation, was translucent and covered in a black glow. It was filled with the power of annihilation. This bunch of idiots still haven't given up even now. He was actually thinking of unintentional strength. He's really courting death. Long Fei said indifferently. There was an absolute gap between the two. Li Wuxin's cultivation could completely crush their levels. Plus, Li Wuxin obtained the inheritance power of the Emperor of Destruction. It could be said that Li Wuxin knew whatever the Emperor of Destruction knew. As for the Li family, he had only inherited some of it. All sorts of differences couldn't be compared in the same breath. Hualala. Just as Long Fei was thinking, Li Wuxin dong. He threw out the chain of order. It was like a lock, locking the Li family elder at the very front in an instant. Instantly, a surge of destructive power flashed as it passed through the chain and entered the man's body. No, no. Save me, everyone, save me. That elder howled in madness, in agony. Next, his entire body began to collapse. Inch by inch, from his arms to his chest to his legs. It turned into powder bit by bit, and finally completely vanished into thin air. The whole process seemed to be very slow, but it was actually very fast. Basically, it happened in an instant. It was so fast that even if the remaining few wanted to attack, it would be too late. But now, no matter how foolish they would never make a move. Li Wuxin's methods were too powerful. If a chain was used, it would be destroyed. Who would dare to make a move against such a method? There was no one here. No, retreat. Since this child is going to harm us, we must definitely let him out of the forbidden area. Otherwise, the Li clan will be annihilated. Right, as long as he doesn't have any life left to attack, no matter how formidable he is, he will still die. Everyone had thoughts of retreating. His mind was already clear and he did not dare to stay. No matter how strong their power was, they still had to live to use it. But now, if they didn't leave, they would die without a doubt. However, they still underestimated Li Wuxin's strength. The moment they turned around, several chains appeared in the sky and appeared from the ground in all directions, surrounding them in an instant. Puff puff puff. Several ripping sounds could be heard. Ah. No. I'm not willing. I don't want to. Ah, boy, you will die, you will. After that, there were a few screams. Following that, the sound of breathing disappeared. Everyone's figures were annihilated, as if they had never appeared before. At the same time, on Long Fei's side. Ding, ding, ding. A series of system beeps. However, other than experience, there was nothing else. But even so, Long Fei was extremely satisfied. And that was not the most important thing. This was because the massacre had just begun. The sky and the earth went dark. The sky and the earth went dark. A massacre was happening right under Long Fei's nose. The system's unceasing yells rang out as it reaped the bounty like crazy. In just half an hour, the entire Li family was wiped out without a single blade of grass. It was truly a massacre. Long Fei didn't have any sympathy for her. Li Wuxin's resentment was too heavy. It could be seen from this how much he had suffered all these years. The hatred in his heart had accumulated to become hatred. Boss, if we keep killing like this, won't something bad happen? Li Yuanbar frowned and asked. His bare shoulders kept moving. He was also moved by Li Wuxin's brutal massacre. That's right, Long Fei. It's too bloody. Yuru could not bear to see this. She had always been a kind person, but seeing the scene before her eyes, she couldn't help but feel hurt. Don't worry. What I've unintentionally acquired is the legacy of the Emperor. Of course, doing so would not lead to inner demons. Moreover, his hatred has accumulated for too long. Long Fei said. At this moment, the massacre was coming to an end. The Li family was so large that it no longer existed. And Long Fei, who had accumulated 3.6 billion experience, was one step closer to leveling up. At this time, Li Wuxin also walked over with a cold expression. "Boss." Li Wuxin said this and then walked straight to his mother's side. His mother was also staring at the scene in front of her with a cold expression. She did not stop him, nor did her emotions change in the slightest. "Boss, next I'm going to go treat my mother. But don't worry, before the qualification battles in the Chaotic Mountain are over, I'll definitely make it." Li Wuxin said. "Fine, you will get your revenge for your great vengeance. If you are willing to settle this matter, perhaps you might gain some new insights," Long Fei said. After that, Li Wuxin brought his mother away. As for where he went, Long Fei didn't ask. Everyone had their own secrets. If Li Wuxin did not say it, Long Fei would not even ask. As for Li Wuxin's safety, Long Fei would not ask too many questions. This cultivation, the legacy of the great emperor, the profound extinction scripture, unless it was someone on the level of the celestial emperor, no one should even think of harming him. Suddenly, Long Fei's face changed. One after another, extremely tyrannical auras broke through the air and approached them. Instantly, Li Yuanba lost his composure. As if triggered by some kind of power, his body began to swell uncontrollably. His muscles, which had already exploded, expanded bit by bit at this moment. "Damn. Boss, it's the fierce battle Tian clan. Quite a number of them have come." Li Yuanba took a step forward, his eyes filled with fighting spirit. A cold glint appeared in Long Fei's eyes. "He's really in a hurry to die. One Li clan is not enough, and another Tian clan is coming. Yuan Ba, how about this battle?" Long Fei said indifferently. "Don't worry, boss. I also want to verify what my strength is like." Li Yuanba laughed, but underneath his smile was an endless fighting spirit. "All right. Euro, let's go to the Heavenly Emperor Palace. Since the Heavenly Emperor old man isn't here, then we might as well play a big game." Long Fei chuckled, and said indifferently. After he finished speaking, Long Fei left with Yuru. The instant after the two of them left, a few figures tore through the air and arrived before them. The person in the lead was an old man who was dressed in mad armor and acting extremely arrogantly. "It's you. You have the power of my grandson in you," the old man said, his killing intent soaring to the heavens. "It's me. How about it? Old thing, come fight if you don't agree." Li Yuanba arrogantly replied. What he wanted now was a crazy battle. He didn't even bother to say anything more. How arrogant. Later on, this old man will beat you down and take away the power within your body. Let's see how you are going to be so arrogant. Master, please wait. This dog is not worth it for you to attack. Watch me suppress him. There's no need for you to come. From the looks of it, both my sons have died in his hands. How can this old man be at ease if I don't kill them? Die. The Tian family members were furious. One of them attacked directly. "Is Tian Luhu and Tian Badao your sons? It just so happens that I'm sending all of you back together today." Li Yuanba replied. His body also began to change. Boom. Asterisk boom. Asterisk boom. Asterisk his clothes burst and his entire body began to go berserk. In the blink of an eye, it had become 50 feet tall. Whereas the Tian clan member opposite of him had an extremely shocking height at the beginning, being more than 20 feet tall. Seeing Li Yuanba's transformation, he started to laugh even more maniacally. Trash, he really is a trash. Only after going berserk will he be 50 feet tall. Watch me. In the blink of an eye, a giant that was dozens of meters tall appeared. This was the power of madness. After going berserk, his height and strength would be doubled. The greater the change, the stronger the power. You little thing, in my eyes, you're just a reptile. So what if you have the berserk transformation power of our Tian clan? Die. Boom. Asterisk the punch landed. It descended like a small mountain. As for Li Yuanba, not only was he not moved in the slightest at this moment, he had an expression of excitement on his face. Old thing, this is not how you use wild transformation power. To sit on a treasure mountain without knowing it. With gold as a stone. Open for me. Li Yuanba also punched out. His entire body instantly flew up into the sky as well. Whiz. Boom. The two forces collided. But what was surprising was the discovery. Li Yuanbar's punch was completely unobstructed, and instantly penetrated through the Tian clan member's attack. Not only that, Li Yuanbar's strength still shot into the sky, and was not affected in the slightest, and his momentum did not decrease at all. At this moment, the expressions of the Tian clan members went pale. His 300 feet body began to sway left and right. No. Its huge face was occupied by panic. He crazily retreated, and every step he took shattered the world. But it was too late. Li Yuanbar's speed was extremely fast, and was not restricted by his body at all. Just as the Tian family turned around, a fist had already struck over. Boom. The fist landed, and the head exploded into pieces. Countless amounts of flesh and blood fell from the sky. The powerful elder of the Tian clan had died. In a single exchange, he immediately died. Li Yuanbar proudly stood in the air. Who else? He was extremely excited. After going berserk, Li Yuanbar was extremely satisfied with his own strength. Below them, the Tian clan members glanced at each other. Instantly, the five figures instantly transformed into a 300-meter tall giant, surrounding Li Yuanbar in the middle. Kill him. The old ancestor of the Tian clan, Tian War King, had madness in his eyes as his killing intent overflowed into the heavens. At this time, Long Fei and Yu Ru had already arrived above a vast palace. Heavenly Emperor Palace, so King powerful. A hint of shock was revealed in Long Fei's eyes. Just the palace's materials alone are the most valuable treasures of the Bedlam lands. Ordinary powers simply cannot break through its defense. Yu Ru said as she looked at Long Fei. Can't break through the defense. Long Fei's tone changed. Ru, I'll show you today. No matter how powerful the Heavenly Emperor Palace is, they won't be able to withstand a single blow from your man. Long Fei said excitedly. Next, one coffin after another appeared in his hand. A total of 13 seats. Emperor Changsheng sat down in the coffin of the 13 generals. Yu Ru found it hard to speak. This was because the moment the coffin appeared, she could already feel that this material was actually no different from the materials used in the Heavenly Emperor Palace. Just watch and see. Isn't the Heavenly Emperor Palace awesome? I refuse to believe that I can't break it. Long Fei's eyes moved, he gathered the power in his hands and raised the 13 coffins up high. Then, it suddenly smashed down. 13 coffins fell from the sky. 13 coffins fell from the sky. It was like the collision of heavenly fire as it descended. In the next moment, rumble, 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 rumble. The magnificent Heavenly Emperor Palace instantly exploded. Under the attack of this power, all of the palaces collapsed. The materials were rare and difficult to break. It doesn't exist. This was because strength came from the same origin. It was equivalent to colliding with a person of the same attribute. In addition to the huge impact, it could even be smashed to death by someone of supreme perfection. Not to mention a palace. It was also at this moment that one figure after another shot up into the sky, as if they were about to face a great enemy. Shua, shua, shua. Countless golden armored guards also lined up their troops in formation, instantly forming a square formation. They surveyed the skies and protected the Heavenly Emperor Palace. Which thief dares to cause trouble for our Heavenly Emperor Palace? A powerful voice shook the void. Hubby, this person is at the 9th level of the super perfection. You want me to make a move? Asked Euro. No need. He's just a mere eunuch, a person who doesn't even have a full body. What's there to be afraid of? If he dares to make a move, I will crush his balls again. Long Fei said casually. Isn't he a eunuch? Why? Yu Ru was incomparably naive and could not understand what Long Fei meant at all. That's right, that's why he didn't even have the chance to attack. Long Fei said, his gaze focused. He locked onto a figure in front of the golden armor guard. Hand of Chaos. Without a second word, he directly captured them. Without any surprise, the eunuch was instantly captured by Long Fei from far away. Next. Level 8 burst. He punched out. Boom. The eunuch didn't even have time to open his mouth before he was blown away with a single punch. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing the owner of the East Factory of the Heavenly Emperor Palace. The reward is 110 million experience points. The price of the holy source is 110,000 points. Striking value, 1 point. Instant kill, it hit everyone's line of sight. The heavens are too arrogant, too arrogant. This is a provocation to the dignity of the Sky Empire. Generals, listen up and arrest those bandits. The Heavenly Emperor Palace instantly erupted into chaos. Under the heavy encirclement of so many golden armor guards, one of them was actually killed by Long Fei in an instant. Their faces were filled with terror. Su. Golden armored guards began to soar into the sky one after another, exuding endless killing intent. Long Fei calmed his heart and took a look, his mouth revealing a hint of pleasant surprise. It was indeed a pleasant surprise. The level of cultivation of these golden armor guards was not something that the likes of Li Wuqing could compare with. All of them were at the Xiantian full circle realm, even though they were only at the elementary level. But to Long Fei, it was already considered a benefit. Condense the trap array. Today, I will make sure that none of them can escape. Long Fei immediately said. This was a huge amount of experience. Right now, what Long Fei lacked the most was experience, and that was level. How could he let them go? Yu nodded. After Long Fei spoke, she immediately began to draw, and in an instant, drew out a heaven-defying rune. The painting became a prison and was instantly formed. And then, with a wave of her hand, an invisible cage descended. At this moment, tens of thousands of golden armored guards rushed in. How dare you provoke the authority of my Sky Empire? Today, I will use your head to prove my golden armor guard invincible, the leader said. Long Fei calmly glanced at them. Invincible? You dare to call yourselves invincible? Since that old bastard, the Celestial Emperor, is crawling on the ground like a pug in front of others, how dare you, the dogs of the Celestial Emperor, claim that you're invincible? Long Fei said indifferently. Impudent. How dare you be disrespectful to the Celestial Emperor? Kill. In an instant, the golden armor guards shot into the sky, all of them raising their machetes and brandishing them towards Long Fei. And Long Fei was precisely waiting for this moment. Great killing weapon, space of slaughter, activate. Long Fei's lips slightly moved, enunciating every word once more. In an instant, endless killing intent began to spread. In an instant, it had spread to the true void prison. With Yu Ru's painting as a prison, Long Fei's slaughter space. The two powers superimposed on each other and formed a living hell. Puff, puff, puff. One after another, sounds of belly-piercing appeared. In the space of the slaughter, the killing intent was almost solid. It was a hidden killing move of that great killing weapon. At this time, the display had turned into a nightmare for the golden armored guards. He was instantly killed without leaving a single trace. At the side, Long Fei and Yu Ru stood shoulder to shoulder. In the entire process, he didn't even make a move. Ding, ding, ding. A series of system beeps appeared. Of course, other than experience, there was nothing else. However, the individual experience was pitifully little. After all, he had only just entered the super perfection stage. The difference in strength between him and Long Fei was too huge, so he had only given him a few 100,000 experience points. However, with the accumulation of tens of thousands of golden armor guards, Long Fei's experience had increased by 8 billion. These 8 billion, along with the fact that the Li family was here before, instantly brought Long Fei's experience bar to the very end. He had over 45 billion experience points. He was only 5 billion away, and he would be able to level up once more. Unfortunately, there are still a bit too few people. I wonder how many golden armored guards are there in the Heavenly Emperor Palace. Long Fei sighed. At that moment, the system's voice that had just sounded once again. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing the Tian clan elder. You have obtained 140,000 experience points, 140,000 holy source points, and 1 striking value point. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing the Tian clan elder. You have obtained 160,000 experience points, 160,000 holy source points, and 1 striking value point. Yet another series of experience points exploded. In just a breath's time, he had more than 1 billion experience points in his account. Ha ha ha, what a great King Kong. The Li clan is done with. The Tian clan is done with. The only thing left is this Heavenly Emperor Palace. Long Fei's mind moved, his gaze instantly locking onto Shrine. Suddenly, a familiar aura exploded from the Heavenly Emperor Palace. It caused Long Fei's heart to ache. It was as if the most important person in their lives was locked up in this Heavenly Emperor Palace, suffering day and night. Puff. Fire attacking heart. The feeling of being linked as a blood vein caused Long Fei's heart to throb with pain. Who is it? Why does it give me such a feeling? Long Fei's voice sunk as he looked towards the depths of the palace. Hubby, are you alright? Yu Ru's face was full of panic as she hurried to support him. At this time, within the Heavenly Emperor Palace. Within the Violet Phoenix Hall. A beautiful woman wearing a phoenix robe was staring outside the palace with a vicious expression. This person was none other than Zhen Fei. Jiyu Xingdao's sister, Jiyu Qin's aunt. You son of a bitch. Kill my brother and destroy my nephew. Once I refine this lowly bitch's womb, even if your means are monstrous, I will make sure you die here. As the woman spoke, her phoenix eyes flashed with ruthlessness. Men, no matter what, block the people outside. In the absence of the great emperor, my order shall be the imperial decree. Zhen Fei gave an order and then casually moved. Within the palace, a secret compartment was opened and Zhen Fei walked in step by step. And the current Long Fei was already close to going crazy. His eyes were bloodshot. No matter who it is, as long as you dare to touch my people, I will kill you. Long Fei suddenly stood up and rushed towards the Heavenly Emperor Palace like a madman. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.